नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, आदाब। कैसे हैं आप लोग? तेज FFMIC 2026 स्प्रिंग आ चुका है। वापस आ चुके हैं हम बिहाइंड द ग्लू वॉल के साथ। दिस इज एपिसोड नंबर 1। मैं हूं इनसेन और मेरे साथ मेरे को-होस्ट जुड़ चुके हैं एरो IB। कैसे हैं आप?
बहुत अच्छा हूँ, बहुत एक्साइटेड हूँ। और देखिए, अभी हमने बैटलफील्ड के अंदर तो टीम्स को डोमिनेट करते देखा है, स्ट्रैटेजी बनाते देखा है, लेकिन उनके दिमाग में क्या चल रहा होता है, बिहाइंड द ग्लू वॉल क्या चल रहा होता है, ये जानने के लिए हम बुलाएंगे बेस्ट इन द बिजनेस, यानी कि दो ऐसे गेस्ट जिनके परिचय देने की जरूरत तो नहीं है, बट इनसे परिचय दिए बिना हम आगे भी नहीं बढ़ सकते। तो प्लीज वेलकम आईकू, TG माफिया एंड ड्यूकर। ड्यूकर, माफिया, कैसे हैं आप दोनों?
बहुत बढ़िया भाई। आप बताओ आप कैसे हो?
हम लोग भी बहुत बढ़िया है और देखिए बहुत एक्साइटेड भी हैं। ड्यूकर, वी नो आप कमाल के मेंटोर हो, काफ़ी चीज़ें आप प्लान करते हो, तो आज इनसे क्यों ना इन दोनों के साथ काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें अनफोल्ड करी जाए।
ऑफ कोर्स काफी सारे सवाल हैं, बट आई विल स्ट्रेट अप कट टू द चेज। माफिया, 2025 में आपकी टीम ने बहुत जबरदस्त खेला, डुअल मोड चैंपियंस बने, बट अब 2026 आ चुका है, साल बदला है। क्या परफॉर्मेंस में भी बदलाव होगा? क्योंकि आपके साथ साथ और भी 5 टीम्स हैं जो आपको टक्कर देने के लिए और ये 2026 की FFMIC का खिताब जीतने के लिए बैठे हुए हैं। तो फिर क्या लगता है आपको, किस प्रकार आप लोग खेलेंगे? क्या अभी भी आप वो अपना टाइटल डिफेंड कर पाएंगे? और साथ में देखिए, हाल फिलहाल में जो एस्टेक के चेंजेस भी हुए थे, तो हाउ आर यू गाइस प्रोसेसिंग इट एंड किस तरीके से अभी टीम में माहौल है आपका?
तो हम थोड़ा लाइक गेम प्ले वाइज तो कम फोकस करें, भी हम चाहते हैं कि हमारा थोड़ा टीम सिनर्जी ज़्यादा एनहांस हो। थोड़ा हम पहले ऐसा कोऑर्डिनेशन में खेलते रहे, वैसे खेल हमारा कुछ भी चीज़ इफेक्ट ना करे जो भी हुआ इन एंड आउट। ये सब चीज़ें हमारा क्योंकि ये गेम ज़्यादातर आप देखो ना, ये मेंटल गेम है। यहाँ पे स्किल सब पे वही ऑल ईयर सेम रहता है, बट आप कैसे कोऑर्डिनेट करते हो गेम के अंदर, वो मेन होता है। अगर आपके चारों प्लेयर पे एक दूसरे को ट्रस्ट है ना, तो आप कुछ भी गेम कहीं से भी निकाल सकते हो। मेन ही होता है, क्योंकि स्किल्स तो सब पे हैं ही, वही स्किल्स हैं। उसी स्किल से हम पिछली बार जीते थे, बट ट्रस्ट कैसे रहता है टीम पे, वो आपको आगे ले जाता है। और पिछली बार जो था, मतलब इस बार तो काफी सब कुछ चेंज होगा, लॉबी भी चेंज होगी, क्योंकि टीमें भी नई नई आएंगी, कंपटीशन भी बढ़ेगा। तो हम भी अपने स्किल्स आपको फाइनल्स में ही दिखाएंगे, हर एक स्टेज में दिखाएंगे, जिससे आप भी तभी सरप्राइज हो।
देखिए, ग्रुप्स रिवील हो चुके हैं FFMIC 2026 स्प्रिंग के, तो क्यों ना हर एक ग्रुप को देखा जाए और उनमें टीम्स के ऊपर थोड़ी सी और चर्चा की जाए कि कौन से टीम्स यहाँ पे जो है वो है सबसे बड़ी कंटेंडर उनके ग्रुप से। तो सबसे पहले चलते हैं ग्रुप A की तरफ। ग्रुप A में होने वाली हैं ये सभी 12 टीमें। तो सबसे पहले ड्यूकर, आपसे जानेंगे क्या लगता है आपको कि इनमें से कौन से टॉप 3 कंटेंडर्स हैं जो यहाँ पे डोमिनेट करने वाले हैं?
ग्रुप ए काफ़ी ज़्यादा अच्छा ग्रुप लग रहा है मुझे देखने से। 2-3 ऐसे कंटेंडर्स हैं जो काफ़ी अच्छा कर सकते हैं। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ऑब्वियसली टोटल गेमिंग esports, एंड आफ्टर दैट आई वुड से ऑटोबॉट्स esports। लास्ट टाइम का एक्सपीरियंस भी है और इस बार भी चांसेस हैं कि ये अच्छा करेंगे, हमको ग्रुप स्टेज में करते हुए देखेंगे। एंड द थर्ड इज़ अराइज esports। इनमें भी काफ़ी सारे प्लेयर्स एक्सपीरियंस हैं जो काफ़ी बड़ी बड़ी टीम्स में खेल चुके हैं ऑलरेडी, एंड वन ऑफ देम इज़ सो आई वुड से ये 3 टीम्स मुझे लग रही है कि थोड़ा हमें ज़्यादा डोमिनेट करते हुए देखेंगे ग्रुप स्टेज में।
एंड व्हाट अबाउट गुरुनाथा ऑफिशियल? देखिए, सिटी क्वालिफायर से क्वालिफाई करके आए और इकलौती टीम है जो अंडरडॉग भी है, और उन्होंने जिस तरीके से परफॉर्म किया था सबको अचंभित किया था। तो इनके ऊपर आपकी क्या राय?
बिल्कुल, ऐसे तो फिर सारी ही टीम्स कंटेंडर हैं, क्योंकि FFC मोड इज़ वे मोर डिफिकल्ट देन जितना हम सोचते हैं। तो सबने ही क्वालिफाई करा, गुरुनाथा भी उनमें से एक है जो सिटी क्वालिफायर से आई, तो उनके लिए और डबल उनको मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी ड्यूरिंग द ग्रुप स्टेजेस। लेट्स सी वो कितना अच्छा करके दिखाते हैं।
रियली होपिंग कि सारी की सारी टीम बहुत बढ़िया करे। लेकिन अब ग्रुप बी की चर्चा करते हैं। देखिए, यहाँ पे भी कुछ कमाल के नाम देखने को मिल रहे हैं। SATL एलीट, आईकू, OG, TSG, टीम लेगेसी। अमंग ऑल द टीम्स आई फील कि कुछ टफ कंटेंडर्स हैं जो बहुत बढ़िया कर सकते हैं। बट माफिया, ओवरऑल आपको क्या लगता है कि इन 12 नामों में से कौन से वो चुनिंदा नाम हो सकते हैं जो अपनी टीम से टॉप करते हुए, अपने ग्रुप से टॉप करते हुए नजर आएंगे?
इनसे मेरे को लगता है ग्रुप बी से एक फायरेस गेमिंग, जो भी बहुत करेंटली मतलब अच्छे फॉर्म में चल रही है। एक फायरेस गेमिंग हो सकती है, एक UGX GRP हो सकती है, एंड एक TSG भी हो सकती है। ये 3 टीमें मेरे को लगता है जो बहुत अच्छा खेलने वाली है इनके ग्रुप से, जो अच्छा कंपटीशन बना के रखेंगी इस लिस्ट में।
बिल्कुल, ये 3 टीम का नाम तो आपने ले लिया, लेकिन यहाँ पे ड्यूकर मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूँ, SATL एलीट भी है इस ग्रुप में, और हमने माफिया से भी इससे पहले चर्चा की थी। हाल फिलहाल में SATL एलीट में 3 नए खिलाड़ियों का एडिशन हुआ, पहाड़ी और वेटरन प्लेयर। हाउ डू यू थिंक कि ये परफॉर्म करेंगे?
डेफ़िनेटली मैं एक चीज़ बोलूँगा कि आई वुड से कि चाहे फिर वो रोनित अपने टीम को खिलवाए या फिर पहाड़ी खेले, क्योंकि मैंने पर्सनली पहाड़ी को कोच करके रखा हुआ है, तो मुझे इतना लगता है कि ये जब प्रेशराइज़ मैच होते हैं तो ये अच्छे से डील करते हैं उसको। तो आई वुड से कि एसईटीएल इज़ वन ऑफ द कंटेंडर जो इस ग्रुप में शायद टेबल टॉप भी कर जाए।
क्या बात है। देखिए हमने ग्रुप बी की भी चर्चा करी, अब हम बढ़ेंगे ग्रुप सी की तरफ। देखिए ग्रुप सी में भी एक से बढ़कर एक टीमें होने वाली है। गॉड्स रेन, टीम हिंद, ईसी ई स्पोर्ट्स एंड ऑल द अदर टीम्स। मैं देख रहा हूँ कि यहाँ पे जो है काफ़ी टफ कंटेंडर होने वाले हैं। तो क्यों ना माफिया आप यहाँ पे बताएं कि आपको क्या लगता है कि कौन सी वो टीमें होंगी जो यहाँ पे डोमिनेट करने वाली है।
ग्रुप सी का मेरे को लगता है पॉइंट टेल काफी क्लोज होगा, क्योंकि इसमें टीमें मतलब T1 सेमी-T1 भी दिख रही हैं।
Yes.
तो इसमें जेडीआर अच्छी एक टीम है, टीम हिंद भी काफी अच्छा खेल सकती है इनके ग्रुप से। आरएनएक्स हो गई, एनएक्सटी, K9, ट्रू इम्पैक्ट, ये सारी टीम, मेटानिंजा, ये सारी हमारे साथ T1 डेली खेलती है। तो मतलब ये वाला जो ग्रुप सी वाला है ये बहुत क्लोज होगा इनका पॉइंट टेबल। लाइक बाकी ग्रुप्स की तरह स्कोरिंग मैच नहीं होंगे इतने ज्यादा।
देखिए बिल्कुल मुझे भी सेम लग रहा है, क्योंकि एक से बढ़कर एक नाम यहाँ पे है। जैसा बोला कि हाँ T1 लॉबी में आप साथ में खेलते हैं, तो यस सभी टीमें मुझे भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा फायर पावर वाली लग रही हैं। तो ये जो रहेगा सभी टीमों के लिए यहाँ से निकल कर आगे जाना। चलिए ग्रुप डी की चर्चा कर लेते हैं इनसे।
देखिए ग्रुप डी की चर्चा करने से पहले ओवरऑल अगर आप मुझे पूछे कि ग्रुप ऑफ डेथ कौन सा है, मेरे हिसाब से तो ग्रुप सी मुझे ग्रुप ऑफ डेथ नजर आ रहा है। बिकॉज आप देखिए वहां पे हर दूसरा नाम बहुत ही अच्छा खेलते हैं, चाहे आप जीडीआर की बात करें, टीम हिंद की बात करें, यहाँ पे एनजी सिल्वर ईगल है। एनजी सिल्वर ईगल हिस्ट्री रही है, चुनिंदा कुछ बढ़िया खिलाड़ियों को लेके आते हैं। एनएक्सटी ई स्पोर्ट्स, आरएनएक्स ई स्पोर्ट्स कमाल के खिलाड़ी है। ट्रू इम्पैक्ट इज वन ऑफ दोज टीम्स जो पिछले साल ग्रैंड फाइनलिस्ट रहे थे। K9 Esports ऑफ कोर्स यहाँ पे भी कुछ अच्छी फायर पावर है। K9 Esports यहाँ पे भी काफी अच्छी फायर पावर है। मेटानिंजा, देखिए ग्रुप ऑफ डेथ मेरे हिसाब से तो ग्रुप सी है। बट अब ग्रुप डी की तरफ चलते हैं। काफी कमाल के नाम ग्रुप डी में भी नजर आ रहे हैं और यहाँ पे भी थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड मुझे नजर आ रहा है। तो मैं स्टार्टिंग विद ड्यूकर, दो नाम मैं ड्यूकर से चाहता हूँ और उसके बाद मैं दो नाम चाहता हूँ माफिया से। कि आपको क्या लगता है कि कौन कौन से वो दो नाम हो सकते हैं जो टॉप करेंगे? बहुत ज्यादा मुश्किल है यहाँ पे भी प्रिडिक्ट कर पाना।
बिल्कुल, यहाँ पे काफ़ी सारी टीम्स हैं, जैसे हेड हंटर्स हो गई, ओलंपियंस हो गई, गॉडलाइक हो गई, ऑब्वियसली ब्लैक बर्ड्स हो गई, तो जॉन्टी गेमिंग हो गई। तो काफ़ी सारी जो पिछले एफएफएमआईसी में खेल के रखी हुई हैं टीम्स वो हैं। तो चूज़ करना तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, बट आई विल गो विद गॉडलाइक एंड मे बी ओलंपियंस। दे कैन फिनिश इन टॉप 2।
माफिया
यहाँ पे अब
जॉन्टी गेमिंग अभी करेंटली काफी अच्छे फॉर्म में है, जो कि मतलब रिसेंट में यूआई नाम से खेलती थी। ये अच्छा खेलेगी जॉन्टी गेमिंग। एंड ओलिगार्ड्स अभी अपने ओपन क्वालिफायर में टेबल टॉप करके आई है, मतलब कुछ तो है इसमें, फिर फायर पावर अच्छा होगा। सो वो हमें टॉप 9 में फायर पावर के बेसिस पे ही गेम चलता है। सो आई वुड लाइक टू सी ओलिगार्ड्स।
क्या बात है। देखिए बहुत सारे नाम इसमें भी नजर आ रहे हैं। ब्लैक बर्ड्स की बात करें, वंस अगेन हमको यहाँ पे राधे ठाकुर नजर आएंगे। गॉड लाइक ई स्पोर्ट्स हमने देखा था इनको FFMAI 2025 में परफॉर्म करते हुए, बट लेट्स सी इस बार ये कैसा परफॉर्म करते हैं। ज्ञान गेमिंग अगेन एक टॉप कंटेंडर जरूर है, लेकिन देखिए ऑफिशियल्स में इनको परफॉर्म करना होगा, वो प्रेशर अलग होता है। माफिया आप इस बात से परिचित होंगे कि देखिए जब आप थर्ड पार्टी टूर्नामेंट्स खेलते हो तो उसका जो प्रेशर रहता है और जो ऑफिशियल इवेंट का प्रेशर रहता है उसमें कितना डिफरेंस होता है।
और ज्यादा मतलब पोल ऑपोजिट डिफरेंस होता है, मतलब कि थर्ड पार्टी तो हमारे होते रहते हैं, ऑल ईयर लॉन्ग चलते रहते हैं, बट ऑफिशियल्स हमारे 3-4 महीने में एक बार आते हैं, और वो मतलब सबसे हाईएस्ट स्टेज होता है एक टूर्नामेंट मतलब गेम का। तो ऑफिशियल में तो प्रेशर नेक्स्ट लेवल का ही होता है। बाकी हम जो थर्ड पार्टी खेलते हैं वो ऑफिशियल की प्रैक्टिस ही होती है एक तरीके की। तो मेन गेम तो हमारा ऑफिशियल ही होता है, तो इसलिए वहाँ पे प्रेशर थोड़ा ज्यादा होता है एज कम्पेयर टू थर्ड पार्टीज।
जी, देखिए माफिया ने तो कमाल का जवाब दिया। बट ड्यूकर, आज का ये पूरा सेशन समाप्त करने से पहले मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूँ कि देखिए अक्सर ये जो थर्ड पार्टीज और ऑफिशियल के प्रेशर की हम बात करें, काफी सारी टीम्स के रिगार्डिंग ये बातचीत होती है कि यार सीरियसली नहीं खेल रहे हैं। मेरा मानना थोड़ा सा अलग है। मेरा मानना है कि प्रैक्टिस के मैचेस में अलग अलग स्ट्रैटेजीज को अप्लाई किया जाता है, नए नए चीज़ों को ट्राई किया जाता है और उससे कभी कभार ड्रॉबैक्स भी होते हैं, फायदे भी होते हैं। तो आपका क्या मानना है मेन ऑफिशियल मैचेस और साथ में जितने भी हमारे डोमेस्टिक सर्किट के टूर्नामेंट्स होते हैं, इन दोनों के परफॉर्मेंस में टीम्स के?
बिल्कुल, बहुत जैसा माफिया ने बोला कि डिफरेंस होता है और ये प्रैक्टिस की तरह खेले जाते हैं। बट क्या होता है कि ये प्रैक्टिस मैचेस में हम कई तरीके की जो हमारे जैसे रोटेशंस हो गए, फॉर्मेशंस हो गए, और जैसे स्ट्रेटजी हमने अब क्या बनाई, कहाँ हमें फाइट लेनी है, ये सब चीज़ हम इसमें प्रैक्टिस करते हैं इन थर्ड पार्टी टूर्नामेंट्स। और जो सक्सेसफुल हो जाती है एक दो बार ट्राई करने के बाद, उसको हम हाइड करके रखते हैं फॉर द ऑफिशियल, कि उनको ऑफिशियल्स में हम एग्जीक्यूट करेंगे। सो ये T1 टीम्स तो माइंडसेट ये वाला रखती हैं, बट ये माइंडसेट मैं अंडरडॉग्स में भी देखना चाहता हूँ कि उनने कितने अच्छे से प्रिपेयर करा है, वो नोट डाउन करी हैं चीज़ें जो T1 टीम्स अपनी लॉबी में प्रैक्टिस मैचेस में करती है जब थर्ड पार्टी टूर्नामेंट्स खेलती हैं वो।
क्या बात है। देखिए एक क्वेश्चन मैं आप दोनों से पूछना चाहूँगा इस बिहाइंड द ग्लू वॉल को एंड करने से पहले, कि एक टिप अगर आपको देनी हो, यहाँ पे कुछ एडवाइस देनी हो अंडरडॉग्स के लिए, तो आप एक छोटी सी एडवाइस उनको क्या देना चाहेंगे कि उनको क्या करना चाहिए और क्या नहीं करना चाहिए? पहले माफिया।
टिप यही रहेगी कि सामने वाली टीम, अगर आप किससे भी डरो मत, कोई भी T1 टीम आपको दिखती है, वो भी 4 ही प्लेयर है, उनकी भी 200 HP है, सब कुछ सेम है, जो आपके पास है सेम उनके पास है। अपनी टीम पे ट्रस्ट करो, जिसका तुम क्वालिफाई किए हो वो टीम भी तुम्हारी बेस्ट ही टीम बनेगी। सब अंडर गॉड्स ही होते हैं पहले, फिर जाके वो T1 बनते हैं। तो किससे डरो मत, अंधा मारो, बिल्कुल घुस के खेलो।
ड्यूकर आप?
बिल्कुल प्रेशर नहीं लेना है, सबसे मेन यही जो मोटिव है हर टीम्स का होना चाहिए जो भी अंडरडॉग आई हैं, क्योंकि हमने देखा है काफ़ी सारी टीम्स प्रेशर ले लेती हैं, उसकी वजह से मैच ख़राब होते जाते हैं। बहुत सारे लास्ट ईयर भी हमने T1 टीम्स के भी नेम देखे थे जो T1 टीम्स में कंटिन्यूसली खेलती आती हैं। सो यही मेरा एक मैसेज है उनके लिए कि हर मैच को एक नए मैच की तरह खेलो। अगर लास्ट मैच आपका ख़राब भी हुआ है तो प्रेशर मत लो, और उस नए मैच को ऐसा निकालने की कोशिश करो कि पूरी फ्री फायर कम्युनिटी याद रखे कि हाँ, ये मैच कोई खेल कर गया था।
कमाल के जवाब हमें आज के दिन पे बिहाइंड द ग्लू वॉल के एपिसोड 1 में मिले हैं। आई होप इन सभी जवाबों से आप लोग बहुत कुछ सीखेंगे और एंटरटेन भी होंगे। बट अभी के लिए खत्म करते हैं अपना एपिसोड। थैंक यू सो मच ड्यूकर, थैंक यू सो मच माफिया। दिस वाज मी इनसेन एंड आई हैव अलोंगसाइड विद मी एरो आईबी। वापस आएंगे विद अनदर एपिसोड। तब तक के लिए बाय बाय, टेक केयर, हैव फन, सी यू ऑन द अदर साइड।
Ready to turn up the volume? The Beat Carnival is here and things are about to get loud! Join Alok's global livestream as part of the audience. Complete daily missions and matches to earn Lightstick and Panther tokens. Then use them to cheer for the performance. As your contribution to the show's popularity rises, you'll unlock flashy stage transformations, special songs from Alok, and tons of great rewards. And don't forget to snap a photo with Alok using the new event-exclusive poses. It's the perfect souvenir from this musical carnival. In Battle Royale, after some time in the match, Alok will invite everyone to join the carnival. Solara's sky turns into a glowing sunset, while sound waves pulse outside the safe zone. A giant Alok projection dances along the map edges, and fireworks light up the night. Bloomtown's stage also transforms into a full-on festival with lasers and music. Watch out for the beat drop zones, where the beats can make everyone start dancing. And if you spot the Panther party truck, make sure to check it out for some extra loot. In Clash Squad, soundwave zones appear that boost your movement speed and HP recovery. And the giant Alok projection will be vibing alongside you. You will also find new event items and matches, so keep an eye out. Pick up the upgraded Alok skill card for extra power. Toss the dance grenade to make everyone around start grooving. And launch yourself across the map with the speaker trampoline. Get ready to move, groove, and light up the beat.
Focus, aim, ready. Focus, aim, ready. Speed up in the race, fall back, no chase. Turn up with the bass, gotta level up your game. Looking for the fight, target inside. An eye for an eye, gotta level to the sky. I'm bulletproof, I do what I want and I'm breaking through. I'm bulletproof, got nothing to lose and I'm coming for you. I'm bulletproof, I do what I want and I'm breaking through. I'm bulletproof, I pull the trigger. Higher let fall. Higher let fall. Speed up in the race, fall back, no chase. Turn up with the bass, gotta level up your game. Lock in for the fight, target inside. An eye for an eye, gotta level to the sky. I dream bigger, that 10 figure. My aim is quicker, I pull the trigger. I dream bigger, that 10 figure. My aim is quicker, I pull the trigger. I'm bulletproof, I'm bulletproof. I do what I want and I'm breaking through. I'm bulletproof, I'm bulletproof. Got nothing to lose and I'm coming for you. I'm bulletproof, I'm bulletproof. I do what I want and I'm breaking through. I'm bulletproof, I'm bulletproof. Got nothing to lose and I'm coming for you. I pull the trigger. Higher level. I pull the trigger. I dream bigger. That 10 figure. My aim is quicker. I pull the trigger. I dream bigger. That 10 figure. My aim is quicker. I pull the trigger. Speed up in the race, fall back, no chase. Turn up with the bass, gotta level up your game. Lock in for the fight, target inside. An eye for an eye, gotta level to the sky. I pull the trigger.
चढ़ाना चाहूँ हार मैं अकेले थोड़ा कम पड़ जाता हूँ यार मैं मिले जो यार सही तो मुझको पर मिल जाएंगे और उड़ने को हो जाऊंगा तैयार मैं
नामुमकिन को भी मुमकिन अब हम कर जाएंगे
कोई भी मुश्किल हो पीछे ना जाएंगे
एक जो गिरे तो दूसरे को हम संभालेंगे
देगा मिसाल जहां ऐसे लड़ जाएंगे कायदे कानून है दिल बेसुकून है सर पे चढ़ा जीत का जुनून है कायदे कानून है दिल बेसुकून है सर पे चढ़ा चढ़ा जीत का जुनून, जीत का जुनून है।
जो सोचा भी ना हो किसी ने, हम वैसा करके दिखाएंगे। चाहे हो कीमत जो ख्वाबों की पूरे करने को झुकाएंगे।
हद से ज्यादा जिद है अपनी, जिद है आसमान की। हिम्मत करके हम कदमों में आसमान झुकाएंगे,
झुकाएंगे।
सर पे चढ़ा जीत का जुनून, जीत का जुनून है।
जीत का जुनून है, जीत का जुनून है।
सर पे चढ़ा जीत का जुनून, जीत का जुनून है। जीत का जुनून है, जीत का जुनून है। सर पे चढ़ा जीत का जुनून, जीत का जुनून है। दिल में बूया।
चल दे देखा किस मिट्टी से तेरे सपने बने, कर दे धुआं जिस रास्ते पे भी तेरे पाँव पड़े। बस बात बात नहीं घात घात कर, बस में तू सारे हालात लात कर। हुनर से अपने दिन को रात कर, अपना ही कुछ नया इजाद कर। तेरा मुकाबला खुद से, मौसम बदले तेरे रुख से। कि खुदा भी किस्मत लिखने से पहले तेरी रजा पूछे तुझसे, तू शेर की दहाड़ दे, चिथड़े तू डर के फाड़ दे। इस दुनिया के हर कोने तक तू ख्वाब अपने पसार दे। खोल दे जो बंधा बैठा तेरी रग रग में, तूफान है, 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 तूफान है। तू जीत का ऐलान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है। तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है। तू जीत का ऐलान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है। ओए किसी से कभी मैं डरा नहीं, फालतू की बातों में पड़ा नहीं। नजर निशाने पे दुश्मन ठिकाने में कभी भी रुका मैं जरा नहीं। मन में जो ठाना वो पाना है, चलना ना कोई बहाना है। कितना है दम बाजुओं में ये दुनिया को बिना झिझक के बताना है। सारा जमाना है कदमों के नीचे की चील सी मेरी उड़ान है। तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है। तू जीत का ऐलान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है। तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है। तू जीत का ऐलान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है। तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है। तू जीत का ऐलान है, तूफान है, तूफान है, तूफान है।
टोटल गेमिंग के पास मौका आ चुका है। ग्रेनेड लॉन्चर साहिल के पास, क्या यहाँ पे बात बनने वाली है? टोटल गेमिंग Esports।
सच बोलूं तो मुझे ये सपना लग रहा है, लोगों के लिए ट्रॉफी होगी, मेरे लिए ये सालों की मेहनत, सालों की डेडिकेशन और ये तपस्या है जिसको आज हम लोगों ने पूरा हासिल कर लिया है। ट्रॉफी सब अच्छे से आ रहा है ना? हाँ फौजी भाई, चलो आप बैठो तो। बेसिकली मैं हरियाणा से बिलोंग करता हूँ। हरियाणा में मेन 3 चीज़ को प्रेफरेंस देते हैं। पहली चीज़ अपने देश के लिए मेडल लेके आना, कोई भी स्पोर्ट्स एक्टिविटी करना। सेकंड चीज़ मैं बात करूँ गवर्नमेंट जॉब। थर्ड बात करूँ अगर आप कोई वेल सेटल्ड बिजनेस कर रहे हो तो आप अलाउड हो, बाकी आपको कोई भी फैमिली जो है वो अलाउड नहीं करेगी। तो फौजी का रीजन ये रहने वाला है कि मुझे खुद को एक आर्मी में जाना था। तो मेरी फैमिली जो थी वो भी यही चाहती थी कि मैं आर्मी के अंदर जाऊं, तो मैं उसी की तैयारी भी कर रहा था। तो मैंने एनसीसी वगैरह भी ज्वाइन करी। तो वहाँ पे पीएम रैली का पार्ट रह चुका हूँ। उसके अंदर वो पैरासेलिंग बोलते हैं, तो पैराशूट होता है, आपके रोप रहती है, तो आप पैराशूट से उड़ते हैं। उस टाइम पे मैं एनसीसी में पैराशूट से जो था वो चीजें होती थी। आज भी पैराशूट यूज होता है गेम के अंदर कि हम फ्लाइट से उड़ते हुए पैराशूट से कूदते हैं। वहाँ पे अजय शर्मा था, यहाँ पे फौजी अजय है। अभी जैसे आप सब लोग हमें जानते हैं टोटल गेमिंग के नाम से, बट इससे पहले जो हमारा नाम रहने वाला था वो दा माफिया से रहने वाला था। उस टाइम छोटे बच्चे थे सब लोग, 16, 17, 18 साल की एज रहने वाली है सबकी। अब मुझे टीम बिल्ड करनी थी। मुझे याद अच्छे से, मैं गुड़गांव के अंदर था हमारे बूट कैंप के अंदर, और एक टूर्नामेंट आया था वहाँ पर जो स्टेट के प्लेयर साथ में खेल सकते हैं। तो मुझे आइडिया था कि जो माफिया वो दिल्ली का है, स्नाइपिंग भी अच्छी खासी करता था, सिर्फ स्नाइपिंग करता था उस टाइम पे। तो माफिया उस टाइम पे लिटिल बच्चा, मतलब 13-14 साल का बच्चा मिला था मेरे को। बच्चा क्या ही पूछेगा आपको कंफर्मेशन करने के लिए रियल है कि नहीं है, तो वो बोलता है आप अपनी यूआईडी भेजो। मतलब इतना सिली क्वेश्चन था। यूआईडी मतलब कोई भी किसी का भेज सकता है, मतलब देख के आप भी मेरा भेज सकते हो। तो मुझे वो चीज़ पढ़ के बहुत हंसी आई कि या तो सच्ची में बच्चा है यार ये
तो उन्होंने मेरे को फिर डायरेक्ट अप्रोच किया। मेरी तरफ से तो ओके था, कोई दिक्कत नहीं टीम में जाने में, बट परमिशन लेनी पड़ती है पेरेंट्स से भी, क्योंकि तब थोड़ा यंग था मैं ज़्यादा आई। तो फौजी भाई घर पे आए, तो फौजी ने बात की मम्मी पापा से कि ये अच्छा खेलता है, ये आगे भी अच्छा खेल सकता है, ग्लोबली भी इसमें पोटेंशियल है करके। एज अ बिग ब्रदर उन्होंने समझाया कि मैं उसको छोटे भाई की तरह ही ध्यान रखूँगा। तो फिर मम्मा थोड़ा सा तब रिलैक्स हुई कि ठीक है थोड़ा जा सकते हैं करके। मेरा बस एक ये बेसिक कंडीशन है, मेरे साथ मेरे एक दोस्त थे जो मेरी पुरानी टीम में थे, गिल्ड भाई, तो हम दोनों साथ में आएंगे।
उस समय मैं कॉलेज में जस्ट एंटर किया था। घर वाले तो पूरा खिलाफ थे, गेम खेलता रहता है, कुछ करता नहीं है, क्या मिल जाएगा गेम में। तो जब मैंने भैया को बोला ना कि भैया ऐसे ऐसे होता है, स्पोर्ट होता है, और भाई इसमें पैसे भी कमा सकता हूँ, तो भैया बोले कि चल ट्राई कर ले, तेरे को मैं सपोर्ट करूँगा।
फौजी भाई, मैं, बाला भाई और गिल्ड भाई, हमारी मेन लाइनअप ये थी। तो उस टाइम हम सब घर से खेलते थे, बट जैसे जैसे मेजर टूर्नामेंट आते गए तो हमारे को बूट कैंप की नीड पड़नी थी। मतलब वो बेसिक हमें सिनर्जी अगर ज़्यादा करनी है इस बड़े टूर्नामेंट के लिए तो ज़्यादा सिनर्जी लगेगी।
तो हमने डिसाइड किया कि हम दिल्ली में बूट कैंप बनाते हैं, और एक फ्लैट पे हमने सब कुछ किया। यहाँ पे हम कुछ टाइम के लिए रहे। हमें जो प्रॉब्लम फेस करनी पड़ी यहाँ पर वो ये थी कि तो हमें रेंट देना पड़ रहा था, और उस टाइम पे हमारे लिए 18-20,000 देना एक बूट कैंप के लिए इंडिविजुअली के लिए, और वो भी काफ़ी लंबे समय तक जब हम पे अर्निंग सोर्स नहीं है इतना ज़्यादा।
तो हम लोगों ने अपना बूट कैंप पे खुद ही फंड किया, इन्वेस्ट किया पूरा अच्छे से। फिर वहाँ पे बूट कैंप पे हमने 2-3 महीने अच्छे से खेला। उसके बाद हमारे को अज्जू भाई भी मिले।
तो उनको भी कुछ स्पोर्ट्स के लिए कुछ करना था बहुत ज़्यादा, और उनसे बात करके ना एकदम वाइब टू वाइब मैच कर गई। जिस प्रकार से उन्होंने सपोर्टिंग दिखाया, फिर हमने उनके बैंड के अंदर खेलना स्टार्ट किया, और तब हम जाके टोटल गेमिंग में जुड़े। और हमें उस टाइम में प्लेयर चाहिए थे, तो मैंने देखा होता कि भाई एस्टेक अच्छा प्लेयर, अच्छा खेलता है।
4 साल पहले FFPL समर हुआ था, तो उसमें TG स्पोर्ट्स चैंपियन बनी थी, तब से मैं उन्हें देखता था। फिर उसके बाद 4 साल बाद मुझे फौजी भाई कांटेक्ट करते हैं कि मैं टीम बना रहा हूँ वापस, तो तू आएगा तो बता। तो ऑब्वियसली फौजी भाई के साथ मैं साथ हो गया।
तो एस्टेक हमें आइजिल मिला, शेंक के में रशर मिला।
एस्टेक मेरा एक मतलब अच्छा दोस्त था पहले से ही, तो मेरे पे ऑफर्स थे बाकी टीम के भी, बट एस्टेक के साथ मैंने कंटिन्यू करना ज़्यादा अच्छा समझा, क्योंकि एस्टेक के साथ पहले से ही सिनर्जी, कोऑर्डिनेशन, एवरीथिंग वाज सेट। तो फिर मैंने TG ज्वाइन करी। पहले मेरा ग्राइंड सोलो ही हुआ करता था, यहाँ पे आके सब साथ में ग्राइंड करते थे, तो अच्छा था।
हमारे आपस की बॉन्डिंग वो लिटरली आज भी ऐसा है कि छोटे भाई बड़े भाई जैसे हमारी बॉन्डिंग रहने वाली है। टूर्नामेंट तो आज नहीं कल जीत जाएंगे, लेकिन जो एक भाईचारा, जो ब्रदरहुड हमारे अंदर, वो काफ़ी शानदार रहने वाला।
फिर अचानक से अनाउंसमेंट हुआ 1 CR का मैच टूर्नामेंट आ रहा है, FMIC FIFA मैक्स करवा रहे हैं।
हमने काफ़ी लंबे समय तक वेट किया टूर्नामेंट का, अब वो टाइम आ चुका है, अगर अब नहीं तो कभी नहीं।
FMIC के जर्नी में तो अप्स एंड डाउन्स बहुत सारे थे।
18 teams have qualified from our week 1, day 1 and day 2 action. Day 3 and day 4 starts today and 18 more teams still have a chance. Welcome back to the TEZ FFMIC India Cup 2026 Spring. My name is Lucifer. With me on desk is Crips and we are back with a fantastic group which is so far also prejudged as the group of death.
Generally, it's Group D that is called the Group of Death, because D for death. But this time, there's so many stacked names in this group that we had to call it the Group of Death. I mean, up until now, we've seen Groups A and B where we had a few Tier 1 teams mixed with a bunch of underdogs. So we got to see some really nice new names come up and mark their resurgence. But today, as we head into Group C, there's 6 Tier 1 teams and 6 underdogs. So the caliber of the teams itself is much higher, and it's going to be a difficult journey for these teams. It's already been a difficult journey for these teams so far because we started with the first time in India ever we had physical real life qualifiers mixed with an online qualifier. We visited 4 cities across India on 7th and 8th February, and then from 15th Feb onwards we had the FFC mode with the top 38 teams qualified and entered the group stage. Here we are today, 28th Feb, in smack dab in the middle of week 1 of group stage. And from this group stage, again, top 9 teams from each group will qualify and make it into the knockout stage. Knockout stage 2 will go on for 3 weeks, after which we will have the grand finals on 25th and 26th of April. 25th April will be for the point rush format and 26th April will be the champion rush format. We'll explain both these formats to you in greater detail later on.
Now this is the entire tournament timeline. Most of you who've been joining us from day 1 and day 2, you're familiarized with it. But for people who are joining in with new names today in our Group C action, this is what has happened. It started from February 7th, ending in April 26th. And how is it going to conclude? How is the journey? FFC mode, we already spoke about it. Online 38 teams. City qualifiers had 4 teams who managed to qualify. And TEZ FFMIC 2025 had 6 teams who were invited, who were at the top during the LAN. In the group stage, which has already started, week 1, we have 4 days. So day 1 and day 2 have concluded. We already spoke about that. Day 3 and day 4 is going to be starting today. And again, from these 2 days, we have 12 teams each, but only top 9 make it across for week 2, which is another stage of group stage where we'll have 36, meaning from 48 teams, we've jumped to now 36, eliminating a few in the line. But however, we still have a big set of 36 teams because from here, it's going to be instantly half. 3 days of action is going to be there. Teams will be divided into 3 groups and only top 6 from each group make it to the knockout stage, making it the best 18.
Yep, and when the top 18 teams make it to the knockout stage, they will be further divided into 3 groups of 6 teams each. Each of these 3 groups will play against each other in a round-robin format in the first week, and the top 12 from the overall standings will qualify for week 2. Now, in week 2, there's a shortcut, guys, that these teams can take. In the 3 days of the week 2 matches, every single day, we will send the top 2 teams directly to the grand finals, which means they can skip the gauntlet of week 3 and punch their ticket to the grand finals preemptively. And since we are sending off 2 teams to the grand final each day, 2 teams who did not make it from week 1 will take their spot on the next day. So let's say, for example, at day 1, when the top 12 teams will play, 2 of them will move on and team number 13 and 14 from week 1 will join them. This same pattern will continue on day 2 where team number 15 and 16 will join them, and then on the last day, 17th and 18th ranked teams will join them too. 6 teams in total will qualify for the grand finals directly via week 2. And then in week 3, 6 more teams will qualify, which will make it 12 teams that make it to the grand final.
And grand finals is going to be of 2 days. Day 1 is going to be point rush, and how and what they have to do to get towards point rush is making sure they're at the top of the score. Overall standings, if they're at the top, they get a head start point. That is what point rush is for day 1 of our grand finals. And the team at the first position get a head start of 10 points. Second position team gets 7, 5 respectively for the third. 3 points for 4th position team, 2 points for the 5th position team, and only 1 individual point for the 6th position team. But from there on, that is from the 7th till the 12th, meaning the 12 grand finalists we have, only 6 teams get a head start point, whereas the next set of 6 teams do not get anything. And now that there is a head start advantage for the top 6 teams, they could be getting closer to what? That is day 2's champion rush criteria. And the champion rush criteria is at a total of 80 points or plus. And if they reach champion rush, now they're one step closer on April 26 to become the champion of TEZ FFMIC 2026 Spring. And how do they do it? After reaching the champion rush, they need to get a booyah. And now there is no specific number of games that it would conclude on in the grand finals. However distant you could take this, and as we were discussing even on day 1 and day 2, maybe even all the 12 teams have the champion rush condition activated. It only depends on who gets the booyah.
Exactly, and this requires the teams to be very malleable in terms of mentality. Like they will try to get as many points as possible to activate the champion rush condition first, but after that they have to disregard that mentality and focus only on the booyah if they want to win.
Yes.
Last time Total Gaming was able to win the tournament in just 6 games. And this time as well, the tournament will have a prize pool of 1 crore rupees. Except this time, there's no clash squad mode. So the lion's share of the prize pool is 35 lakhs, which will go to the champions. Second place team will walk away with 17 lakhs. And similarly, the amount that you get will keep on reducing up until the 18th spot. Like for example, the third place team gets 7 lakhs, and similarly every slab below that is 5 lakhs, 4 lakhs 30, 4 lakhs rupees for the 6th place team. Similarly, as long as you make it into the top 18, you will get a minimum guaranteed payout of 77,500, which means if you make it into the top 9 today and go to the knockout stage, you will get a minimum of 77,500. But obviously nobody wants just the bare minimum. People want to stack up money on top of that, and that's why we will be giving away 10,000 rupees every single day during the knockout stage, which means there's a total of 90,000 rupees up for grabs, as well as the grand final spot in week 2.
Now, along with that, there is still an individual prize money that one person in the grand finals can take it away from any particular team. That is the MVP, 1,50,000. But any part of this prize money, if anybody wants to have a cake of it, a piece or a chunk from it, you have to make it to the knockout stage. And how do you make it? First, you have to head towards the weeks 2 of our group stage, and how it all depends on the number of points that you grab. And we've already seen teams soaring above 100, 150, and it all depends on your booyah, plus on top of it the number of eliminations that you get. We have been seeing teams having an elimination heavy game so far, especially the teams at the top who are sitting at the top of the overall standings, but it could change here today because it's Group C. Point system doesn't change, it is the same booyah. Whoever gets it gets 12, followed by 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, with the teams positioned at the 11th and the 12th getting nothing. However, there's still a tiebreaker, which has not at all happened so far in Group A and Group B. Is first, it depends on the number of booyahs. If both are same, then total eliminations. If that is also same, then the ranking in the final game will decide whether you make it to the top 9 or not. With that, teams have to be in consideration of this rule. One unique active skill, meaning each player in a team needs to constitute of only one unique active skill. It cannot repeat at all.
Yeah, each player in the team needs to use a different active skill. You cannot have 2 Oscars, you can't have 2 Chronos in the same team. You have to be creative. And now, especially with the addition of Morse, the meta becomes a little more versatile, because we haven't seen a lot of Tatsuya this time, at least in the 2 days so far. We haven't seen much Morse either, but there was a time when Oscar and Tatsuya were dominating the pick rates. Now it's just Oscar and Chrono. But it's not just the creativity in terms of the characters that you will have to show us. You will also have to be creative in your way of getting frags. And there's no teams more creative than these two over here. God's Reign and K9. In the previous FFMIC 2025, they both were able to get more than 100 points in the group stage. And now that both of them are in the same group, I think that we might finally get a group where 2 teams can get 100 plus points.
Right, that's right now kind of what we are leaning on, Crips, to be honest, with both these 2 big names in the group itself and of what they've done in their group stages in TEZ FFMIC 2025, while K9 was K9 back then as well, but God's Reign Pros were NG Pros, and we know how aggressive of a lineup they are. And today that they're going to be playing in Group C, which so far we are still calling the Group of Death, because it's not only these 2 teams, there are still a lot more which we'll be talking about. But God's Reign Pros and K9, we know heavy fraggers want on one end, we have Cropsy on the other end, we have the Feek. These two individual fraggers, and especially for Kanan, the Feek has been so important that we've seen in TEZ FFMIC 2025. But the stakes are even higher for K9. They made it out of the group stage back then as well, but they did not qualify towards the LAN. So right as now, group stage, after that knockout and then LAN, they're going in for the long game. But going for this long game is going to be every team in Group C, and this is the list that we have for Group C. God's Reign Pros, Team HIND, EC Esports, MJxOWNLEGACY, REAGANVERSE, R2V SINGH GAMING, NG Silver Eagle, NXT Esports, RNX Esports, ZUTSU Gaming, K9 Esports, and METANINZA. But when I took all these names, Crips, every name felt powerful. This group, I'm not too sure who to count it on. Whether it's the invited God's Reign Pros Team HIND, or the City qualified team METANINZA, or anybody else through the FFC mode. Everybody has a chance here.
Yeah, because all these teams are full of some really talented people. In fact, if you guys are not familiar with some of these team names, you definitely might have heard some of these players. Because we have superstars like Wolvin, Sahil, and Luis in Team HIND. You guys might recognize these guys from the Revenant X Park lineup, which existed in the previous FFMIC. In God's reign, every single person in this team has now reached superstar status. In fact, Manu is one of the best snipers in the country, and he might not even be playing today. He might just be substituted. And then you talk about REAGANVERSE, our very own friend from the Hindi casting desk, has picked up this team, and I'm glad that he's supporting these underdogs, because these guys definitely deserve the spotlight.
And they are taking it away from even our top teams because of how we've seen the performance in Group A and Group B. EC Esports, R2V SINGH Gaming, another team that to look forward to, along with MJxOWNLEGACY. But in this second set of 6 teams, there are at least 4 names that I'm looking forward to. One is going to be RNX Esports, ZUTSU Gaming, K9 Esports, and METANINZA. A lot of familiar faces that you have. Car 98 Army is now ZUTSU Gaming. RNX, you've already seen what Arman Adab can do, and along with him Hassan is going to be there with Shoko. METANINZA might be a change from their previous lineup of Jaunty Gaming, where they only have 2 players right now, Ginotra and Jarvis, but they bring in experience to help Zap and Anshu, who's going to be playing with them. And along with that, K9 have Zian commanding the throne, and that is going to be with the Feek, Aim, and Honey. This is going to make it even more interesting of the role change that K9 have done, and this is one of the reasons we've been talking about K9, that while they've done so much in TEZ FFMIC 2025, this is now for the land that they have to try and push forward towards what they missed last year, making their way towards the grand finals that they can do this time.
Yup. But there are a few players over here that have already been to the grand finals. I'm talking about the likes of Ginotra and Jarvis. And while these guys are very experienced players, they have a newcomer Zap in their lineup, and Zap has some very big shoes to fill. So overall, the players that you see over here, they might just be underdogs for now, but there is a chance that they become household names and superstars by the end of this tournament. I hope they do, because so far, the underdogs are not the ones who are dominating the most. We have seen a total of 24 teams play so far, 12 on each day. And out of those 24, the 6 teams who did not make it were the teams that have come through from the FFC mode. The invited teams, as you can see, have been super dominant. On an average, they get 136 points, and on an average, they get like 95.5 eliminations. City qualifiers teams are also able to hold their ground really well, but their numbers are not as dominant as the ones that invited teams put up. And then FFC mode teams struggle even more. I mean, there's a reason that these teams are invited all the time. There's a reason why they're at the tippy top, why they're the creme of Indian Free Fire Max circuit. It's because these guys have the firepower and everybody knows it. But that being said though, I would love to see if the FFC mode teams can flip the script and try eliminating one of the bigger names over here today.
And as truly said, as you said, maybe flip the script. I was talking to our other co-casters who are going to be joining us for the second half. It's going to be Aura as well as Arka. Now, when I was talking to them, they mentioned that today, because we have such a big set of teams and it could be a group of death, there could be an upset. And is there going to be an upset in the game schedule? No, they say. Even though it's randomized scripts, we end up seeing a very classic flow of the map, starting with Bermuda, going towards Purgatory, Kalahari being our halfway mark, then Alpine, Nextera and Solara to end the day being our last three. And this just seems like a classic showdown coming through in this Group C, because we already have so many big names, players who are looking forward to their chances in the grand finals already, because they missed it last year. They do not want to miss it this time. They've made certain amount of tweaks, but starting in a classic show, but it's going to be a thriller for sure.
Yes, and that's why we are starting off on Bermuda. We generally have a map randomizer, which, randomizes the order of which the maps are played every day, but today, the teams are so spicy, the group is so exciting that we can go ahead with the default map lineup. First off, we have Bermuda, and on your screen you will see the preferred drop spots of these teams. Now keep in mind, these teams will say that they prefer to drop in a particular spot, but they might not always go there. So take this infographic with a pinch of salt.
Now we can see that there could be a clash, especially over Mill. We see three big names. There's METANINZA as well as K9, but along with them we end up seeing R2V SINGH GAMING. So that could be a trouble if they head over there. ZUTSU as well as REAGANVERSE are towards peak. We see Clock Tower and Hangar, a little bit of a subsiding edge subset that's coinciding for NG Silver Eagle as well as RNX. But I think Observatory, if NXT get towards God's Reign Pros, because we know how aggressive of a lineup they are, maybe we do not see Manu coming and playing today. It is going to be Badal, or if that was just for us to just throw a wrench in the works and confuse us, irrespective, NXT should be worried about it. And EC all the way towards Rimnam Village, I'm a little worried. Going so far away will help you survive towards the last few circles, but so many teams in our Group A and Group B who were looking forward to survival, right? Crips, to be honest, that was not the strategy to go for. They tried their best, go out of the map, play at the edges of the zone. Only the teams who somehow adapted to that gameplay were the ones who managed to qualify to the top 9, but also barely qualifying at the last game yesterday we ended up seeing. So hopefully today that's not going to be the case, but the case could be also different for us in terms of our predictions. Have we made anything closer to what Group A and B were? Let's see if Group C changes our fate, because I've gone in for a safer pick. We know these names very familiar. I only see a switcheroo from your end on K9, whereas I've gone in for God's Reign Pros, Team HIND as well as METANINZA, and you have both of them same. It's K9, HIND being the difference.
Yeah, I mean, there's not even much difference. I've only picked K9 in this map, but I have picked Team HIND in a bunch of other maps, as you will see later on. But for now, the reason I've picked K9 for Bermuda is because K9 are a frag heavy team, and in a map like Bermuda where everyone knows the rotation paths in and out, you can predict the rotations super easily. Like even a newbie like me can do that, and that's why predicting your rotations and grabbing the best piece of real estate does not matter as much as firepower in a map like Bermuda. Similarly, if we were playing Kalahari right now, where there's plenty of spots to hide, I would have picked a different team. But over here, I think firepower matters the most, and that's why I've picked K9 and God's Reign to be my top two teams. I've also picked METANINZA because I believe in Kinutra a lot, but other than that, I think K9 would have had a much lesser chance of winning in another map like, let's say, a Purgatory or something like that.
I kind of maybe second that decision as well, because that was the similar thought when I went for Team HIND with the experience that they have. Bermuda being a classic choice of game that everybody would love to play on, and having experience of their previous TEZ FFMIC 2025 should help them through, right? They went towards the grand finals, played their best. They managed to make it to the top 6 as well, and one of the reasons that we are seeing them in the invited list. And this is why we say, when you be at the top echelon of your FFMIC game, we end up seeing you in a lot of more games throughout the run of things, and that's what is happening for teams at the top right as of now. And also, when we saw the invited teams domination list, they've been proving why they're in that invited spot. Catching up is the name of the game. However, I would say for FFC qualified teams, they have been doing it. I feel like, especially in Group A Crips, they've been a lot of teams who've shown us that hope that there's going to be a big change that could happen. But today also, I feel like it could be similar to what happened in Group A. Promising teams in groups, you've made it through the FFC mode, but it's time finally to start things off for TEZ FFMIC 2026 Spring on Bermuda for Group C on day 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is our greatest honor, our greatest pleasure to present to you the Group of Death. And we begin on Bermuda, starting off from Observatory, going all the way to its Sentosa Island. The plane bisects the map diagonally. God's Reign sticking true to their word, actually going towards Observatory and not changing their drop location. Respect. They've done it in the previous years as well, and they generally split up over Observatory and Graveyard to cover as much distance as possible. You've got NGC with Silver Eagles dropping over Hangar. You got a drop clash over here, ZUTSU as well as RNX contesting each other in Clock Tower. And at the same time, there might be a 3-team battle in Factory and Pochinok, because you've got NXT as well as MJxOWNLEGACY dropping over there. But for now, let's take a look at the Battle of Clock Tower, because RNX look to get first blood.
Ricochet is all I can hear, not a knock or an elimination finally. I see, but it's going to be another team, EC. But what do RNX do? Finally find, and they will try to confirm, and ZUTSU end up losing their player first compared to I thought RNX would, because they were missing up a lot of bullets, but they were playing together. And now ZUTSU are in big trouble. Hirsch, he's been spotted out in the open, and Arman making a chase. Hirsch, can he go away? He's out in the open, doesn't have util. It's going to be a free flag in the open for RNX. That will make a double and a trouble for ZUTSU.
Double trouble indeed. Can RNX continue his reign of terror? Will they be able to destroy everybody from ZUTSU over here, or will there be a straggler that manages to escape? So far, you've got Botgor. He is using all his parkour skills and hoping to get away, but unfortunately, Hassan has his number. No escape for you. And they try to go in for the hit list as well, but unfortunately, that hit list lands on a member of Silver Eagles. So ZUTSU Gaming are safe for now. They are not being tracked by anyone.
RNX still, to be safe and sound, use a UAV to just check across the lands. But on the other end, checking is going to be in terms of elimination. God's Reign Pros, they find their first as well. One of the player, I guess it was from NG Silver Eagle, treaded a little far, came towards Arsenal, and God's Reign Pro said, no, that's not going to happen, as they get closer towards it. But they are still looking forward to more. They finished their looting towards Observatory. Now they're figuring out where they should move next, but they've not spotted any player. But it seems like they have all used their Advon, which has given them an information of one individual player, and you can see all of them are surging towards that direction, and it is a trouble brewing right now for NG Silver Eagles.
Yeah, and Silver Eagle have already lost Nizam. Meanwhile, Silver Eagles are battling RNX. They don't even know that there's a possibility of God's Reign coming over the other side. Jord thought that he would break that glue wall, but instead, his opponent jumps out. And Sanathan with that P90 is able to spray down Shok. That is absolutely insane. Good recovery, but you lost 2 players in the process. And Lexos is very far away right now. Lexos might just end up fighting God's Reign. And this guy, Sanatani, has to go on his own. So these players have no way of backing each other up. Meanwhile, in Mars Electric, you've got EC Esports going up against MJxOWNLEGACY. Rex draws first blood, gets the confirmation onto Anmol as well. Meanwhile, Lucky has to get out of there, dips out using the Oscar dash, gets back behind hard cover, but Perv might just be caught in the open as Kallu as well as AJ8 are converging upon him. But Kallu uses his skill and unfortunately loses his life. Lucky also down to 38 HP, gets shot in the back, and I'm so goated is able to get that confirmation. EC Esports need to lick their wounds and get out of here now. Lucifer, they are in trouble.
They were the ones commanding this place, but after getting those knocks, now they're worried. However, Rex, to be the savior, he's tried to push forward, gotten closer, and there should be an opening, and they do so. Put the player down, and they use the last survivor, did not have enough money, could not run away, and that's going to be EC Esports eliminating MJxOWNLEGACY. Unfortunate for them, that's going to be a very early elimination, and look at the elimination count. They have nothing to answer for all that battle, and it was only putting players down, nothing to count in terms of an elimination.
Yeah, they didn't confirm any of those knocks, and that's why they have to pay the price for it, going out at 0. MetaNinza, they use one of their hit lists, and I think Shoto is the one that's targeted, but instead they're just going to use that as recon and get away from Team HIND.
Hit lists are used as 2-directional approach. One is either to push forward, and the other is going to be that we have information of at least one team. But for the time being, it seems like Team HIND are not protecting their player. Rather, they're going towards the team that have put the hit list on. They've already found the knock, getting the gap closed in, but launch pads being used. Is there a knock out in the open? Chavez somehow makes it across and it's going to be safe and sound for the time being. But Team HIND, they're going in for a chase. Zap is stuck out in the open. Could be trouble. Shoto gets hit. And that's information for Team HIND. But Team HIND are not safe from just one battle. They have to fight another. Esports, they feel confident right now and instantly go for a fight. Knock KD down. KD got down. And that could be big, but it doesn't. Instant turnaround coming in from Shoto. He knocks and confirms.
Yeah, Team HIND fighting a battle on two fronts now. At least METANINZA were nice enough to fall back when they thought that there was too much pressure on them. But now that they've realized that Team HIND are busy locked in a battle against Esports, METANINZA try to come back. And Team HIND, they're like, if we stay over here, we'll be trapped between Esports and METANINZA. So they take the jump pads and they get out as well. But Arman and his grenade launcher knocks down two at once. RNX take no prisoners. Adeep and Hassan really want to break down that glue wall and get inside the house so that they can get the confirmation onto KD God. But KD God jumps out from the other side of the double balcony house and he dips out of that fight. Meanwhile, RNX take this chance to revive all their players. Meanwhile, they're not even trying to eliminate the entirety of Team HIND. They just take shots at everyone that they see. Whether it's Esports or Team HIND, RNX are on a killing spree and they are taking no prisoners today. Oh, but I think they know where KD God went. They know that that guy is vulnerable. That's amazing situational awareness.
KD God is going to be in big trouble. It was only Shoto, the newest addition from Team HIND, who is performing. And if KD God doesn't make it out, it's done for. Arman, he's still scouring the land to look forward to players' information. But seems like he's going to spot NG Silver Eagle. He was hiding behind the tree, but he's not taken a shot. And I think RNX, their intention is, yes, they're searching for the player, but they're unable to spot them at all. And also, the zone doing the damage. They're like, what do we do next? And so far, they've found nothing. Two different players from two different teams. And they did not find even the single of it. But for now, finding eliminations individually on R2V, Singh Gaming. Antriksh was about to take a launch in the other direction, but Cropsy says that's not going to happen in front of me.
Yeah, God's Reign as well, racking up all the eliminations that they can. K9 had a similar approach, but they burnt out. They overextended, and now they've been eliminated. I had K9 chalked up as one of the potential winners of this game, and now to see that they're out already puts a damper on my predictions. I hope that at least God's Reign are able to live up to their reputation, because so far they've just been going around and acting like the Grim Reapers. They have been trying to pick up as many fights, and these are rather isolated fights towards the edge of the map, like towards Hangar, towards Rimnam village, where the chances of getting third-partied are not that high.
Right, as of now, eliminations, teams trying to look forward to pick up a lot in their favor. But let's take a quick replay look on what happened to K9. Aim, taking the zip fare, moving across. But Hemu, we did spot him as the headhunter. And that's what he did. He also had the highest amount of damage so far. And NXT Esports' Hemu was the reason that K9 in their journey on Bermuda have been put to rest. They'll be waiting in the lobby for the next game. But however, so far this game has been looking too good. Every team has been fighting, and this is the reason we said this is the group of death, and you cannot say whose death is going to be. And so far, we've seen some big names go out. There could be upsets as well towards the end of Game 6. But we have to wait and watch.
KD God does a very, very cool thing. So, Team HIND started to fight against METANINZA first in Pochinok. METANINZA escaped to Factory. And Team HIND now start fighting against RNX. And as soon as RNX versus HIND got intense, METANINZA came back. HIND had to run away. In fact, you could see that even Silver Eagles were hiding in the same spot that KD God was, very close to each other. And RNX were busy trying to hunt them both. But somehow KD God manages to stay alive, stay hidden. And now he goes outside the zone, goes back to Pochinok and the vending machines to get all his teammates alive. And it's just the second circle, right? So they can tank the blue zone damage a little bit.
Not much to be worried about, but something that I'm liking here in Group C and is different is the amount of hit lists being used. It's not being used by one team. We can see two different team titles now using it, and it's been using constantly from teams. They've been pressing it, making sure they know where their enemies are, and some of them are chasing for it. NXT Esports, it seems like they are going towards REAGANVERSE right as of now, as they have put a hit list in them. God's Reign, they have one as well, and they are, I think they've put a hit list on maybe METANINZA, or it could be RNX if I'm not wrong, all the way next to Clock Tower. But for the time being, NXT, they're holding the circle as well as the bridge that they have control of. They do not want to move out of it. They might have activated the hit list, but they know whichever team that is, they're trying to get close. There's 40 seconds on the clock, so they're not going to go for the chase. Rather, hold it off and look forward to more if they're able to pick in terms of eliminations.
Yeah, there's at least a minimum of 4 teams using hit lists. So, as you can see, NXT are tracking RNX, but RNX might not be tracking the same team. They might just have their hit list on someone else. METANINZA,
It's 2 teams.
even without using a hit list, are closing in towards RNX. Anshu takes a peek to the right hand side, hoping to get the shot onto Hassan, but Hassan dips back in cover behind the cell phone tower, and now he needs to play from an angle where Arman and Shoko will also be able to back him up. Adib makes the risky transition, uses the glue walls to get right next to Hassan, and now they both are going in from the left hand side to take a fight against Jarvis. Meanwhile, Shoko from behind has been able to get the shot onto Anshu with the AWM. Jarvis dipping in and out of that time turner, hoping to land his shots, but Adib is the one that connects first, and that's Jarvis down. Zap was trying to back him up, hoping to get the trades in, but he has to fight against Team HIND Esports, who are trying to third party in on this one. At this point, Ginotra has only one play that he can make: get out of here and somehow force RNX and HIND to fight each other, and that's exactly what they've done, Lucifer.
Shoto, he's the one leading this charge against the fight of RNX, and there's already one player who's down. That's going to be Adib. The confirmation should come very fast, but it's going to be a knock that Shoto's looking forward to. Puts Arman as well down, but HIND, their reinforcements are not yet here, but they are actually from a distance. That's going to be Wolverine who confirms, but Hassan, he's making sure everything counts as of now. They have managed to pick their 2 players who are knocked. Sahil Jat has also gotten taken down. It's going to be a problem for HIND as Wolverine also goes down. It's only KD God right now. The cards have turned, the momentum shifted, and Team HIND once again on the shoulders of KD God for survival.
Ginotra, though, he's trying to make the best of the situation, gets 2 knocks onto Shoko and Hassan, and in the process of doing so, he might have just inadvertently saved KD God's life. Adib looking to finish off Ginotra, looking to get revenge for what happened to his fallen teammates, but his teammates are back up on their feet, no longer fallen. They rise from the shadows. The resurgence is here, and even Jarvis gets taken down. The knock onto Adib that Jarvis accomplished means practically nothing. Hold on though. I forgot that this is outside the zone. They don't have time to res Hassan and Adib. They both will bleed out. Oh my lord. So he gets those 2 finish points anyway. That was a suicide mission, but that's all that METANINZA can do right now to get elimination points.
Zap, he did move in the other direction. Therefore, I think there still should be an opportunity to get their players back up. RNX, however, total of 16 eliminations, leading the score chart right as of now in Bermuda already. That's very big. Shoko, he did spot his teammate, wanted to follow that trail, but it did not work out. So it's all up to Arman. NG Silver Eagle have the address of this player, and the zone is right next to him. He did manage to make it across to the edge of the zone, but how can he survive? There is a vending machine. He has to make a run for it. He is in intention, but Sanatani, he's already gotten closer with the dash, gets closer and spots Arman, gives a call to his teammate, and with that, RNX, they are put an end to.
Oh, Silver Eagles. Now there's no running away from this fight. Silver Eagles generally try to keep their distance against their opponents, but now God's Rain are closing in that distance by raining down grenades and glue wall melters on top of them. And in this maze of glue wall, Silver Eagle need to play together. Naseem gets the first knock onto Anubhav, but the trade comes through instantly. Lexus with that cord is just going rat-a-tat-tat-tat, and he's raining fire upon everyone. Somebody needs to stop him. Look at that cocoon that Lexus is inside. He almost got the res onto all 3 of his players, but Badal has stopped that from happening, and he forces Lexus back into the cocoon. He's not letting him out of here, and no prisoners this time for God's Rain. They eliminate Silver Eagles.
And with that, they get to 13 total eliminations. However, they're left with the last 2 stragglers and the last 2 lonesome players. It's up to Anubhav and Badal, but we know very responsible shoulders these are, and they could still convert a booyah from here, because even the team next to them was HIND, and they do not have enough players to even go further. They're also standing as a 2-man strong team, and so many teams right as of now, except for NXT, I can see. In the meantime, REAGANVERSE, they also get eliminated. NXT right in front of God's Rain Pros, Anubhav and Badal, after eliminating a squad, a full-on fight that they concluded on NG Silver Eagles. They might be pumped, but they know the numbers are not in their favor. But NXT Esports, what a surprise that they have. The zone and the bridge that they held is still in the edges of the circle, and they still can hold it. Monster Truck being destroyed, that gives away the position of the next contender. But with this, R2V Singh Gaming, they also get eliminated. And now we are down to our top 4 teams in ZUTSU. The position that they were in now getting rushed by NXT because they know that this is the only team here.
Yeah, and this could be an isolated fight, but Soul with the pre-fire uses that Tommy gun in the best way possible. Botcott with the Drogon gets the confirmation as well. 1v1, can he win this one? The SMG going pre-firing around the corner, and he's using that time to get the rares onto his teammate. He just about picks up Botcott in the last possible moment, but now they're trapped between the glue walls and the play zone. Soul finally sprays down Hemu, and that's the end of NXT. But now they have a steep climb uphill where God's Rain can rain fire from them.
What a battle coming in from ZUTSU. A 2v4 being converted, and all kudos to Soul of how he held it. Nero plushie thrown towards him from Sahil Jat, but he instantly gets destroyed. But now this fight has come down to a 2v1 situation. Sahil Jat is the last survivor for Team Hind, but God's Rain Pros, they're going to be the initial battle for ZUTSU. But I think ZUTSU know that Sahil Jat is the only player. They want to climb up the hill, get the advantage. They have the tower as well as a solid cover, but God's Rain Pros, they read it and they want to close that gap. So far, Sahil Jat is letting these two teams fight amongst themselves, and finally it seems like it could happen, but ZUTSU have their direction clear. They want to hold off God's Rain Pros, but at the same time make sure that Sahil Jat doesn't do anything. But Anubhav, he says that's not gonna happen, pecking through the glue wall, finding a knock, and Anubhav making a rush with the M590. Dash coming across, but it's gonna be enough. No, saying Anubhav for the time being, and with him Badal, with the therapy coming through, they managed to make sure they put down one player from ZUTSU, coming down to a 2v1v1.
Badal has to climb up. No more Chrono Shield available for him, so he only has to use his glue walls. But Botcott is trapped over here. Sahil Jat could have had the chance and eliminated him, but Sahil wants to play it safe. He finally peeks. But what? Botcott! The flick shot! He destroys Team Hind. Team Hind had all the advantage, man. There was no way that ZUTSU should have been able to survive up until second place. But now that reinforced glue wall should be able to help Botcott stay alive for a second longer. He's got enough time to pop the inhaler, and he's taking his sweet time to repair his armor as well. I think Anubhav and Badal were waiting for their electrotherapy to come back online, for their abilities to come back online before they take that fight. But they need to play together, and they do. Anubhav with the final shot gets his team the booyah.
What a game coming in to start things off. The team who were invited, and they make sure that this new change that they have doesn't change in terms of their aggression and the booyahs they grab in the very first game for Group C. God's Rain Pros, they are the ones who take it in their favor. Anubhav, Badal struggle, Cropsy, they played it in perfection with Manu, and this says it all of what we were thinking of, how what would change from NG Pros. Nothing. This is them still ruling in Free Fire Max.
They still continue their ruling, man. Their crown remains on their head. Nobody steals it from them. And if you have a name like God's Rain, I mean, that name has weight. You gotta back that name up with some firepower, and that they have abundance of. I was actually worried about God's Rain because there was only 2 of them. They did lose most of their players because they've been playing aggressively right from the first circle itself. And as a result, they had lesser members. Generally, the team with higher numbers wins in the final circle, but this time, even having lack of numbers does nothing to them. But look at this shot from Botcott. I wish I could have seen this from Botcott's POV because Sahil Jat started shooting him first. Sahil Jat had taken away most of Botcott's HP, but then he flicks around with that woodpecker and takes his head off, getting his team the second spot.
What a game coming in from ZUTSU. You have to give kudos, as you said. Brilliant stuff coming in from there. And however, in terms of the eliminations, they were a tad bit low. And that is the reason we still end up seeing RNX who are here, not Team Hind. That is what we said. This is going to be a group full of surprises. Chaos that's going to be Unchained and the group of death. You cannot say which team is going to be at the top. Total of 28 for God's Rain Pros. They got the booyah. But next best is going to be RNX Esports. They got eliminated way early. Look at their placement points. That tells you that they got eliminated somewhere around the 7th position, and they have a total of 19 points already. ZUTSU, who got eliminated at the top 2, have total 19 points with the 9 placement that they got and only 10 eliminations. NXT as well, they played very smart, held a bridge, but that fight of 2v4 giving so many knocks to Soul, I think that's where things went wrong for NXT. However, let's take a quick look at teams at the bottom. Unfortunate K9 got eliminated, and it was, yes, the doing of NXT Beasties Hemu. They did not have much points, as well as MJxOWNLEGACY. But MVP is gonna be struggle with 5 eliminations, 5 assists, and a damage of 2,716 and an active skill on Homer. This is a discussion that we were having, Cribs, just before we started, that teams might start picking up Homer as the active character, which is not something we always see. Teams do pick him, but looking at what Struggle is picked up, making sure anybody right in front of him cannot run much, is Struggle's doing.
Yeah, I do want to know if Homer was his actual primary ability or whether it was his secondary active ability. Because generally, if you've got the AC-AT equipped and you've got Maro, Moko and Suzy, you want to have something like a Skylar or maybe like a Nero as your primary ability. But the fact that you use Homer is actively insane for me. And on top of that, you've got Badal playing as hard support, because look at that. He's got Olivia, Tiva as well as Cassie, as well as Enhance Hammer. I mean, this guy was built to keep his team alive.
He was. The way he played around, and that was one of the reasons we ended up seeing the final fight working in favor of God's Reign Pros, because the zone was closing in their direction, right? ZUTSU had all the time that they could play around. They knew every team's position. Their movement also so very specific in the direction that they were treading in, went towards the tower, making sure that they have hard, solid cover. And even though that was their God's Reign Pros, the confidence that they had, they kept moving forward. And along with that, let's talk a lot about their stats. And you can see averaging around 1,500 in terms of damage. Cropsy, he might have not been the MVP right as of now, but he has 3 eliminations, 4 assists, 3 knockouts, and also on top of it 1,472. And him being in the lowest edge of the damage says what this team is, if 1,400 is low, whereas the other players are sitting at 2,700. We already spoke about Struggle, but Anubhav has upped them in damage at 3,033 with 6 eliminations of his own, 8 knockouts, 2 assists, and Badal also coming in with 2,137 damage. What a heavy game coming in from God's Reign Pros.
Heavy game indeed, man. I also noticed that Cropsy is one of those rare people who uses that Dreki. So even with that, he was able to perform really, really well. Let's take a look at the circle analysis though, because you see God's Reign, they landed in Observatory, but then they have such a lovely rotation through Hangar, and then they fight teams in Rimna Village. They go back to Observatory to get the reses, and then they chase down R2VS across the entirety of Hangar before they eventually start prioritizing the zone. And once they start prioritizing the zone, look at how quickly they move. They keep fighting Silver Eagles as well as R2VS. They avoid the fight against Team HIND, and eventually after they win the fight on the silo side of Katulistwa, they take this battle to its final stages, and they stick to the edges of the circle as they keep getting eliminations from everywhere.
Now, after finding those eliminations, picking up so many points, starting this game strong, God's Reign Pros, but even with them is RNX Esports. These two teams went out heavy right from the start. RNX especially, elimination heavy game coming in from there, and that was a big surprise. And this tells us, this is one of the reasons we were already talking about that team as well, with Hassan being there. There's so much to expect out of Group C. Along with them, ZUTSU, such an amazing performance, and this is one of the reasons we said Car 98 Army, they're here at ZUTSU, but nothing changes in terms of their gun game. They are still so powerful. We saw Botcott doing his pattern of eliminations. We saw Soul holding himself off against NXT's players, and that is what we are expecting here out of Group C. Along with that, let's take a look at their preferred drop spots going into the next game. That's going to be Purgatory, and we have again seeming to be a clash, especially at Crossroads in Brasilia. Crossroads having 3 K9 who need a big game, along with NG Silver Eagles as well as EC Esports. Yes, maybe a decent one for EC Esports, but K9 not much at all. There were bigger expectations at their end. On the other end, we see Brasilia, where we see R2V. We spoke about them, that they were trying to play a survival game, which is something that teams, if they've gone towards the end like Group A and Group B and managed to adapt, they qualify. Otherwise, the survival game doesn't help them out.
I know that in this diagram, at least 3 teams are not lying. K9 Esports, when they say they're going to Crossroads, they actually end up going over there. That's generally their drop spot. METANINZA always go towards Forge. Maybe they might split up over Ski Lodge as well as Forge and Campsite. So METANINZA love splitting up over the eastern end of the map. And then Team HIND, they take the central as well as the fire brigade drop spots. these three teams are not lying. Everyone else, I'm not really sure about them. Even God's Reign might just actually end up, staying true to their word and go to Brasilia. But I think they might not drop in Brasilia directly. They might drop elsewhere and then eventually move to Brasilia once they are looted up enough. So these are my predictions for the drop spots. Even though these teams have claimed that their preferred drop spots are, as true as they can be, we always know that there's some adjustments towards the end, especially in a map like Purgatory where rotations can be very, very difficult. The place where you start the game becomes that much more important.
Now, important it is for every team. We've seen a little bit of a performance in terms of various top-ended teams who picked up a lot of eliminations, but teams towards the bottom as well, as we did speak about it, Crips, right? K9, something that we did expect a lot from METANINZA as well. I did have them as a prediction. Now, let's see as the predictions as we move towards Game 2, does it change? Yes, I have made a couple of changes. This time I bring back K9, going towards Purgatory. ZUTSU, after what they've done in Game 1, I had to get them back in and they are here. Along with them, I think a plain and simple pick is going to be the safest one of all, which me and you have done. It is going to be God's Reign Pros. But similar to what we did in the game number 1, we both have our same mind towards two teams. We only change on one particular team. Their order might be different. You've gone in for NG Silver Eagles and I've gone in for ZUTSU Gaming.
At least your ZUTSU Gaming pick now starts to make sense. I wasn't a believer of ZUTSU Gaming, but after seeing their performance in Bermuda, I start to see why you have placed your faith in them. So good pick overall. Although K9 kind of disappointed me in the previous game by getting eliminated this early, I had them marked as my Booyah winners. At least this time, I'm not putting them down as the winners straight up. I'm putting them down as the number 3 team. But over here, I think NG Silver Eagles, for them, Purgatory has to be the biggest map. If it's not, then they probably won't be able to score much for the rest of the day. Because keep in mind, in the previous years as well, NG Silver Eagle, they tried to get into the FFMIC Grand Finals. They couldn't make it to the actual finale. But before that, every time they had a breakout game, it was on Purgatory. It is their best map. And I will go as far as to say that if they don't perform here, then their chances of qualifying altogether might just be really low.
I mean, yeah, I think this could kind of somewhere ripple down to the group stage week 2. I'm not too sure about week 1, Crips, because we've seen NG Silver Eagle, they make it out one way or the other, at least from the initial weeks in gameplay of qualification. Because again, we are only going to be seeing 12 teams who are going to be eliminated at the end of this 48 run to 36 that we end up seeing for week 2. So NG Silver Eagle do manage to squeeze, but as you said, if they're able to do it in map 2, that builds a lot more confidence for us as well, in terms of the desk and the viewers that we should be seeing them in the knockout stages as well. A really good in terms of potential team, a lot of fragging heavy. We saw the decisiveness as well. They do not run away in terms of a fight. They're ready to take it head on heavy, but it's just about which fight they're picking and when. But on top of it, I think it's still going to come back as we are going to be jumping towards Purgatory in these two crucial names. That's going to be METANINZA and K9. After seeing the performance in game 1, I am a little surprised, especially that so far when we even spoke about our invited teams domination screen, right, where we saw our city qualifiers team, they were also so close to our invited teams domination. They were matching toe to toe in terms of action. So far, METANINZA have not done that, but it's Purgatory. It's going to be the gates of hell being opened up right as of now for TEZ FFMIC 2026 Spring.
Ladies and gentlemen, second game of the day. You guys are watching the Group of Death, and there's no better entertainment possible. Let's jump on over the open lands of Purgatory. The plane taken off all the way from the top of the map towards the bottom, vertically bisecting it. That's a very nice plane path. It's been a while since I've seen such a vertical plane path. And as expected, ZUTSU Gaming go towards Crossroads, but nobody else is going over there. In fact, God's Reign will stick to Brasilia, and everybody else is running away from them. So many teams have dropped just north of Fields. I believe they didn't want to actually drop over there. They probably wanted to just get their cars and then get running. But RNX as well as EC Esports might just end up fighting each other over here in these fields. And they will be very ill-equipped to deal with their opponents because there's not much loot available over here. If you can get 2 guns, that itself is going to be big enough. Because there's going to be a distinct lack of glue walls for all these people.
So hope they pick up at least anything to fight off. But that is one of the reasons, as you rightfully said, Krebs, they do not have weapons to pick up here. and they're worried about it. But on the other end, a team that did pick up the initial elimination, became the elimination leader, was the team who we were looking forward to, who went off with nothing in terms of points, was MJxOWNLEGACY. This time they picked up the very first point, and they're keeping that fight ongoing towards NG Silver Eagles. Make it the second point they pick up, and that's going to be a Nazim. And MJxOWNLEGACY, it seems like they've started making their movement towards their eliminations, a wave in approach to build up points. But it seems like NG Silver Eagles, a team that we already spoke about, that they do not back away from a fight. They're pushing it back against MJxOWNLEGACY. So is EC Esports, because I think they're feeling confident in what they have on hand.
Yeah, but EC Esports are just waiting on that fence, hoping that somebody from RNX will show themselves. But RNX have 3 people stationed in the houses. Meanwhile, Shoko has already gotten out of here. At least Shoko is in the car and away from these people. So when God's Reign use that hit list and come knocking on the doors, he's going to be far away. But this battle has begun, and EC Esports want to push in towards RNX's compound. They want to lead the charge. Lucky gets a nice spray down onto Hassan from the windows, but Hassan will be confirmed. Rex runs out of bullets, and he still manages to switch the weapon and get the knock onto Arman. Amazing stuff. Adib using the Oscar Dash and using that Bison to mow down Rex. Gets the trade once more. Lucky on 1 HP. Adib almost had his number, but he just survives by the skin of his teeth. He has the chance to reset. Lucky tries to go around the other side, but Adib locks himself out, and Lucky uses the pre-fire with the MP5 to get the knock onto Adib. Both the teams have lost many players. They've taken several casualties, and all those casualties will now come to bite them, because God's Reign are here to sweep up the leftovers.
That was quick in terms of thinking to change the positioning over there. RNX knew that if they kept that fight ongoing, there could be another team. They did lose a player, but they were okay with it. But even losing a couple of players were MJxOWNLEGACY, because we did see they picked up the fight, started things off against NG Silver Eagles, but after that it was NG Silver Eagles who were able to answer back, and that is the reason we see MJxOWNLEGACY have turned things in the other direction. They moved towards the edges of Forged. I hope they have a better game this time, because last time they only picked up nothing. That's the reason I'm saying that they have a better game right now. They picked up 2 eliminations, looked like a strong start, but what do they do from here? When NG Silver Eagles started answering back Crips, they were worried. But worrying right now should be the opponents of K9, because it seems like K9 are ready for eliminations. They picked up 1, and as soon as they picked that 1 up, R2V SINGH Gaming decide, no, not a fight for us.
Yeah, better to back off now than to pay the price later. Oh my god, even Silver Eagles are here? Silver Eagles are mowing down the players of REAGANVERSE, and so are ZUTSU Gaming. So REAGANVERSE are being targeted by 2 different teams. Meanwhile, God's Reign are just continuing to do God's work. They are sweeping up the leftovers and just destroying everybody else who is struggling to live. I don't think they are fully aware about where their opponent is. They've got the hit list onto Shoko, but they're actually hunting down the last member of EC Esports. Wait, he's not the last member anymore. He did manage to get the res, so like 3 members of EC Esports are still alive now. But they find Lexus from Silver Eagle. And Anubhav finally finds AJ8. Okay, so God's Reign, they came here to hunt down AJ8, but Lexus was just a free casualty. He was just the wrong guy at the wrong place at the wrong time.
God's Reign pros at this moment, at least here on Purgatory and especially at Ski Lodge, are just picking up players of whoever they spot. Whether it be a full team, it could be individuals from various different teams, and they've picked up all those eliminations. They're sitting at a total of 6, and Anubhav is the one leading the chart. But R2V SINGH Gaming, they managed to end the run on Purgatory. For REAGANVERSE, that's a surprise. A team who did put up a decent performance previously, but right now they go out with only 2 eliminations. Big surprise. But right now METANINZA also do not want that fate of what happened. They push forward. They spot KD God, the man who managed and helped HIND to survive the longest, but for now he is going to be isolated. Should be a frag in the name of METANINZA, but it becomes an exchange. Thankfully Anshu was nearby, otherwise KD God would have grabbed that even before anybody else from METANINZA reached.
Yeah, but the bigger question is, why is he alone over here? I mean, sure, yeah, the revivals are not that difficult anymore, so you can probably place one of your teammates near the bridge just to make sure that the pathway is clear for when your team wants to eventually rotate. But that's just giving away free frags to METANINZA, who, by the way, really need those free points.
Exchange in METANINZA that worked for the city qualifiers is not showing what we expected here in TEZ FFMIC 2026 spring. Maybe it was just the first game jitters. They're just trying to figure that out, let that game be bygones. For how long could it work in their favor? This was not a great conversion that they did towards HIND, especially it being an individual. They have a hit list on which they can search forward, looking forward to maybe another elimination point, but they also are wondering if they're going to be able to meet a full on squad to take control of. One more thing that they're going to be happy about, Crips, is that they have the circle at central, so not much to be worried about. But worrying in terms of elimination, this time is going to be R2V SINGH GAMING, and that is the reason they've targeted ZUTSU, and they're trying to pick up elimination. They did get one. Big run on the air, but only damage, no knock over there, and ZUTSU make it out safe.
Just ramming his vehicle through the fences. Yeah, I don't care. Google Maps, you're not gonna direct me in the direction of the fences. And they go right past it. Do they know he's here? Yeah, they do. Grenade launchers come through. It tickles it just a little bit, but yet again another explosion to take him down, and it's Antriksh who gets that elimination. Harsh tries to rescue Sid, but he might just have directed way too much attention towards himself, and he pays the price for it with his own life. So R2V SINGH GAMING, pretty good start for them. 4 eliminations is decent, but MJxOWNLEGACY have started battling against God's Reign pros, and this might not end well for them.
Right now in trouble is also ZUTSU, who were just under the hammer of R2V. And it seems like even another team spotted them. That's going to be NG Silver Eagles. If it changes, hopefully, for a better for ZUTSU after seeing what they did in Bermuda. And right now in Purgatory, it's not the repetition. It's a complete different change. Maybe the teams in terms of their approach. Because even R2V changed a lot of things. But changing again, the fate was not possible for MJxOWNLEGACY. They get taken down at the 11th spot by the hands of METANINZA. And METANINZA, maybe they're taking it slowly, but it's working.
So MJxOWNLEGACY lost 3 of their members to God's Reign, and they lost their last member to METANINZA. And these teams are on different islands, so that shows you how far he must have run to die at the hands of METANINZA of all teams. Now though, the circle, because it's shifted heavily away from the main island, a lot of teams have started occupying this mountainside.
I'm trying to move closer towards Team HIND. They want it to be a better approach. The Feek and Honey they've made it closer. AIM keeping an approach from afar. Aeroplushie goes in through, and there's the opening. KD God is down, but that's from another team. That's going to be RNX. So Team HIND, they're sandwiched at this point. Make it another team as well. 3 different teams on Team HIND. How do they make out of this danger? Is there an opportunity to fend off a team, or is that their end itself? Wolvin's been knocked. Shoto and Sahiljat are the last 2 survivors. K9, they're abiding and counting the seconds that they have. They do not want to rush into this fight because they know they have an opportunity to convert, but they also know it's Team HIND who could take them down. They know of what happened on Bermuda. They ended with only 2 total points, and this time they wanted to change, and that is the reason K9 called that fight back, knowing that there are another set of 2 different teams in this fight.
Team HIND need to hold on to this compound for dear life, because this is a very good spot to hold. If they are able to hold on to it, they might just win the whole game. If not, there's going to be plenty of teams just crashing into their compound, hoping to steal it away from them. And one of those teams is K9, who are just on the other side of this wall. Even RNX have taken the stables area, but I don't think they will be very safe over here when the teams start rotating in from the north side of Golf Course. So they will look for better compounds, and obviously the best compound over here now belongs to Team HIND. So while K9 enjoy that tiny shack, RNX, they just have the bleachers for themselves. That's not good cover. NXT, they're chilling on the shorelines for now, but any moment, METANINZA can come in from behind and shoot at them from across the river.
We'll wait and watch if that's going to happen, but for now, NXT, again, the Nero plushie being used towards Team HIND. Let's see if they could find another opening and if they're quick enough, because they did land a knock. But K9, they might be in trouble. They were holding off for Team HIND. Another plushie comes from behind their backs. Not too sure from which team that was, but they have to be worried about it. If that happens once again, and you can see nades coming across, it's from a team who are above the hills, and that is R2V SINGH GAMING and K9. While they thought they're safe and sound, the hill is the danger that they have.
Yep, on top of the hill, it's R2V SINGH GAMING. K9 though, I don't think they need to move just yet. Although they will hopefully need something to block out any grenades that come in over there, because a tiny grenade in there could blow up the entire team. And I don't think they've got Steffi equipped, so they will need to find a different way to deal with that.
How do they deal with it? They're stuck in one compound, and R2V SINGH GAMING, they already have a hit list on them. That is, they for sure confirm that there is a player there. They don't have the idea that it's a full team. It's only one individual, but with the knock that if they find maybe on 2 players, they will instantly understand. But you can see how smartly and I would say very clinically R2V are approaching this. They know that they've been picking up eliminations in this game and they have to be smart about it. But what just happened? ZUTSU and RNX tie hands together and put down God's Reign within the blink of an eye. But that doesn't end there. ZUTSU are now in trouble because they were outside the zone, and RNX say, you might have taken out another team, helped us in it, but you are not going to be entering into the zone. Bot God gets taken down, Sid gets taken down, and ZUTSU's trouble are getting worse and worse by the second.
ZUTSU, these guys have really got to find another way inside, because right now every Tom, Dick and Harry in the lobby is shooting at them. Whether it's RNX, whether it's Silver Eagles, or whether it's R2V SINGH Esports on the top. ZUTSU are the easiest and the weakest target right now, because they need to get inside the zone as well, and they're desperate. At this point, it's not about whether or not ZUTSU will survive, it's about who will get that final shot onto them. And it's none other than NG Silver Eagles. Like, ZUTSU basically were here to distribute points amongst all these teams, and all the other teams are just fighting to grab those points away from each other. It's a heist at this point.
But the stake of this heist is also toned up, Crips, to be honest. The number of teams right now here holding off around the circles, and all of them have not moved an inch and not lost a single player. It's only the players who have been outside the circle, and you can see NG Silver Eagles taking advantage of it against players of NXT as well as EC Esports. R2V SINGH GAMING, from the hill that they were on, they took the zip, I guess, and from there they've made their way down, and they're at the edges, and K9 have read that, and K9 have also made a move and changed their direction, so K9 in a better spot in terms of viewing angle at this tower. But can they find eliminations? They're targeting NXT as well as R2V. But do they find an opening? Anything to answer for? Because if they do, against especially NXT, they're fighting with NG Silver Eagles. It could be an advantage that they grab free eliminations on.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, K9 and METANINZA have the best possible spot, and they're the safest right now. Meanwhile, Silver Eagles versus NXT is going on in full swing, as well as RNX versus Team HIND might just brew out any second now. And both these battles are going on at the same time. Meanwhile, R2V SINGH Esports, why are they shooting at METANINZA from across the island? They've got bigger troubles to deal with, because K9 are assaulting them from above. And here comes the full-blown rush from K9 Esports. Will R2V SINGH Esports be able to stave off the assault? I don't think so, because METANINZA are also shooting at them from across, and that's what happens when you get distracted. That's what happens when you try to shoot at someone from across the island when you've got bigger problems. And METANINZA now are in so much trouble. It's Xian with the triple elimination, wiping out Team HIND, and he has no intention of stopping now. At least Shoko from RNX has been finally able to put Xian's killing spree to a halt, but the Feek and AIM are still going strong. They might be on the low ground and they need to fight uphill, but Hassan, can he lob a nade across and end K9 now? Because even NG Silver Eagles are trying to shoot at K9. They are trapped in between a rock and a hard place, and this is not somewhere where you want to be, especially in the last circle.
The circle is forcing these teams to fight in such a manner because of where it's ended up, between two lands and river in between. NG Silver Eagles made the right approach, jumped on the other side, put down METANINZA, and now they have the best option because the zone is closing on the other direction. RNX have been hit upon. They do not have much health to survive. Two of their players get taken down. It's up to Arman and Shoko. And Shoko, I don't know how much he can withstand as Sanatani is picking players from every side on RNX's end. And finally a confirmation coming in as the Feek helps them out. It's down to the last two teams, but NG Silver Eagles, it seems like this is their silver spoon of a booyah. AIM is the last man standing and John X is going to take them down and confirm this booyah. What a change through coming in from NG Silver Eagles, and we said if they have to do it here, and they do it.
We knew this was their strongest map, but was I aware that this was so strong? They won't only get Booyah, but they will also get so many eliminations. Even I didn't expect them to perform this well, and I literally had them down as my winner in the predictions. NG Silver Eagles have really shown us what true mastery over Purgatory looks like. They thought that METANINZA on the other island would not be able to do much to them. But when they realized that METANINZA are the only team on that island, and if they get over there, they only have to deal with 4 opponents and not get third party, they instantly took that chance. While everybody was battling each other, when RNX was fighting Team HIND, when K9 was battling against the likes of R2VS, at that time NG Silver Eagles managed to find METANINZA in a very isolated fight, and they took this island for themselves. And then all they have to do is obliterate the entire hill on the other side of the river. This is not a tiny piece of land with opponents on it. This entire island is just an opponent, and they are just aiming in the general direction. If they see anything that moves, they will shoot it.
And to see that it was an M249 by Jodex in that final fight, just peppering everybody.
Yep.
Unbelievable stuff. To be seeing that in the final fight, that's something that we did even see yesterday in a final fight, that a player was picking it up and just buzzing all the others out. And today it happened once again. And Jodex, what a game to come across. And I think in instances like this, right, when there is so many players and in an approach where they are away from the zone itself, a machine gun is a good option to have, because they'll be putting up glue walls. With the numerous bullets that you have, you can instantly break those up, and with that help, you end up seeing your teammates also shooting the opponents. And while Jodex was destroying those glue walls, Sanatani was knocking down the players of RNX, and that happened. They got the confirmations. Then K9 also saw that there was a lot of whiplash coming through against RNX. They decided it's our opportunity to find one at least elimination, and as soon as they find that last elimination, it ends up being a wipeout for RNX. And from there on, K9 knew it was going to be even difficult for them to go ahead, cross that river, because NG Silver Eagles, they made the smartest approach. K9 were the ones who helped them over there. METANINZA was the fight that K9 were in. Once NG Silver Eagle jumped, they went behind METANINZA, and METANINZA stuck in a sandwich. But what a game. Truly incredible coming in from the side of NG Silver Eagles, and they're going to top their game standings for Purgatory at a total of 30 points. And there we start 30 bombers already.
Yup, man, it's just the second game of the day, and we didn't expect 30 bombers in the group of death because every team over here is competent. We didn't expect the team to go this high fragging. So yeah, 30 points is very impressive considering that this lobby is full of some heavily stacked names. RNX Esports continue to farm up eliminations. They've got 21 points. K9 Esports, I mean, they just got unlucky over there because there were so many teams focusing on them. But even with the odds stacked against them, they managed to survive ahead of RNX Esports and finish in the second place with placements 18 in total. METANINZA, I must say that they are the most unlucky because they had prime position. They were the only team on the southern island and nobody was challenging them until NG Silver Eagle recognized that, hey, METANINZA have such a privileged position, let's just take it away from them.
Now with that, taking in terms of points was Sanatani with a total of 6 eliminations, 9 assists and a damage of 2060. He was wielding a Winchester with an Oscar that he was playing with Olivia, Joseph and Nikita Arvon as the information seeker. And I think that was one of the reasons also how NG Silver Eagles maneuvered their way across the other edge. They spotted the circle. They decided, hey, the position that we are in, because their fight with RNX was already, not RNX, wait, yeah, it was with NXT that already started, where K9 were also holding in another opposite tower. From there, NG Silver Eagle retreated back to the island that they came in from, and it all worked in their favor. It's just very smart movement, amazing calls coming in from within the team to make this player as well as the team perform for a booyah.
Woo! Take a look at this. Such amazing abilities specifically for Purgatory. And I was worried about K9 getting destroyed because they don't have a Steffi. Guess what? Nazim is prepared for it. He knows that the compounds in Purgatory are so few and so small that you will need some anti-nade utility. And that's where Steffi comes in. They've also got a Tiva, which is the only player in the team that has a Tiva. Generally, we've seen teams who have like 3 or 4 Tivas at once. This guy has just one player using the Tiva. That's Nazim. So while he clearly is the guy responsible for keeping everyone else alive, you've got Oscar, A124 and Skylar onto the rest of the players. And quite even distribution from everybody. Like, there's not one single player who is far ahead of everyone else in terms of damage. Yeah, sure, Lexus has like 2,700 damage, and that's like 700 more than Sanatani, but the number of eliminations is more or less the same across these players. Jord with 5, Lexus with 5, Sanatani with 6. And even though Nazim has only 2 eliminations, he's got more than enough damage to make up for it.
Exactly. All these 4 players had such amazing damage coming through. That is the reason this group is so fantastic. Let's talk about how NG Silver Eagles went across the lands. We spotted them around the ski lodges. From there, we saw their players were getting taken down. Revive happened. They moved above fields. From there, they're making their way towards, and they were almost next to R2V SINGH Gaming. From there, moved to Brasilia, came towards the islands, and then in between the bridge is where this fight broke out, where NG Silver Eagles jumped next to NXT. From there, they jumped back towards METANINZA, and once they jumped there, saw the circle that was in this edge, they converted it in their favor. Very nice movement all the way from the eastern edge, went north, and from there headed completely to the south, seeing the circle, making that movement. And you have to give a little benefit to this circle in Purgatory itself, because of how this circle started moving. Crips was one of the reasons so many, I would say, consecutive fights happened. It did not stop. Teams were losing players. Teams were trying to figure out where it is safe to be. Teams were trying to run and search for the last straggler. So many things were happening in Purgatory that we couldn't cover everything. That's how interesting this group is.
I mean, it's been a while since I've seen majority of the circle be in the water. Just the last few centimeters of the circle are on land, and there's just a massive river in between, which basically means NG Silver Eagle had to go across all 3 islands, the mainland, the western one, and the southern island. And because of this booyah, they now are at the tippy top of the overall leaderboard as well, with 42 points. 26 of them coming from eliminations, and then you got a booyah as well. RNX Esports trailing closely behind with 40 points. Very consistent fragging from them with 29 eliminations. And then God's Reign Pros, even though they've got a booyah, are at the 3rd spot, just 1 point behind RNX. ZUTSU Gaming, though, even though they had a terrible performance in game number 2, are somehow still inside the top 5.
The difference, the difference between all these teams and the way they performed compared to game number 1 and game number 2. Teams who performed in game number 1 did not perform well in game number 2, and the teams who performed in game number 2 did not perform well in game number 1. So the vice versa situation that happened ended up somehow mending this overall scorecard for the day of Group C to be close by. The difference between the first 2 teams is 2 points. Then you come down, it's going to be 1 point. Then there is a difference between the 3rd position team to the 4th position team. This is something that we thought that from the top 3 to the next teams, we should see a big difference. That's 13. But from there on, again, it's very small and minute differences. Only one team that is lagging behind very much is going to be MJ. I hope they start picking up pace, because it's time for the halfway mark. We are heading towards Kalahari and the preferred drop spots in front of your screens.
Yeah, at least according to the preferred drop spots, MJxOWNLEGACY is somewhat isolated in Council Hall. So I hope that they can at least get like 10, 12 points in this game. That should at least get them out of the bottom 3. And honestly, that's all their objective is for today. You've got K9 dropping in Santa Catrina. I fully believe it that they will actually stick over there. And we already saw that Team HIND loves Stone Ridge. Even when they were called Revenant X Park, they used to go towards Stone Ridge. So that part of the drop location is definitely true. Although God's Reign dropping in Shrines? Believable, although I think they might go for a split drop between Bayfront, Oldhampton and Shrine, so that could also be a distinct possibility. METANINZA, of course, they go towards the Mammoth and the Sub, so I'm expecting a 3-1 or maybe a 2-2 split from METANINZA. As for the other teams, I can't tell if they are serious about going towards the Maze, Refinery and Command Post.
All we have to do is wait and watch for the time being, but as we move towards Kalahari Crips, one thing is for sure clear. We are still unable to make a clear assumption of which team is at their best, right? After seeing what happened in Game 1, Game 2 and Game 3, and this is also what we already said. This is the group of death, but is also complete chaos. It's everywhere. Purgatory especially broke open the gates of hell and everybody let loose. But with that, let's see if our predictions are going to be pulled back in, rallied in the direction of making it right. I have RNX in my pick along with ZUTSU and METANINZA, and this time we have only one matching similar result of RNX, and on the other end you've gone in for God's Reign Pros as well as K9.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very confident about my pick of God's Reign Pros because that's a very safe pick. Although K9 have been a little shaky. The performance in Purgatory was amazing, but they did get very unlucky towards the end. And if that streak of bad luck continues, then there's a chance that they might just drop out of the top 6 in Kalahari. And then, as my other pick, I have RNX. I'm not fully convinced about my RNX pick though. I still think that this is a bit dicey, but I know that RNX is the kind of team that can do well even if they go for split pushes, and that's exactly why I've picked them in Kalahari. It's because I believe if there's one map where you can afford to split up and still, do well for yourselves, it's Kalahari.
Yeah, now we're going towards Kalahari. It's time for teams to pick up pace because this is where we see adaptations coming in from every team, and especially we are at a situation where this Group C, we are so confused of what's going to be right and what's going to be wrong and what's going to be perfect for teams in terms of whether it's a booyah or eliminations or qualification. And especially from the position of #4 to all the way till 12, we are seeing very minute single digit differences between the teams. It's only MJxOWNLEGACY who have to pick up a big pacing in terms of double digit points. And it is a possibility. We spoke about NG Silver Eagles, right? We said that they should have an opportunity in Purgatory, and they did it. Now it's Kalahari, and I feel like they should have an opportunity as well. Whether at the bottom, they still have a chance to top the charts because this is Group C, and we make it to the halfway mark starting on Kalahari.
Buckle up your shoes, ladies and gentlemen. Tighten your seat belts because we are about to take over the skies of Kalahari. Lovely plain path, once again going from top to bottom, starting from Shrines towards the Sub, and Silver Eagles have the entire northeastern quadrant for themselves as they split drop over Council Hall and Confinement. You've got Team NXT in Bayfront, God's Reign dropping in Shrines, rather uncontested. I was expecting ZUTSU Gaming to drop clash against them, but ZUTSU are actually confused. They've got one of their players going towards Refinery and the other one going towards the Southern Foundation. But this split drop might just result in death because Refinery is hotly contested. They're not the only teams over here. Even K9 and Team HIND are present over here. And this, combined with ZUTSU and RNX, makes it 4. So this is gonna be a super brawl. Soul, with whatever weapons he has, is trying to get the confirmations. Finally it comes through, but Shoto has been rezzed already. And same with Harsh. Teams who are losing players individually are getting the revive plugged in as well. That's what happens when you control the vending machine room. But here comes the Feek with the Oscar dash. Gets 2 instant knocks. Xian follows up for the 3rd. And K9 have instantly got themselves 4 eliminations right off the bat. And they've already used the UAV just to make sure that nobody else can come in and use the vending machine to respawn their teammates. So this should give K9 good control over Refinery, at least for the first 2 minutes of the game.
K9, like a checkpost, have cleared Refinery in its entirety. There is no other teams now. It did start off with a lot of teams. HIND was there. We did even see ZUTSU. I think maybe a little bit of hint of EC, but we see EC also moving in the other direction. But HIND's player somewhere stranded in between this run, could pick up a free elimination. He's following the trail of Lucky for the time being, and then Lucky gets hit, and now he realizes there's going to be Sahil Jat right behind him. Nero's plushie being used. Now he's trying to close the distance with a P90. Goes in for a dash, not towards the glue wall, but to get closer, and successfully lands the blow, confirms that elimination, and EC Esports will be happy of what they picked.
Yep, 2 frags isn't much, but it's honest work. And honestly, that's all they need for now. Build up the momentum piece by piece. God's reign though. How have they taken so many casualties? Where is struggle and why are they struggling?
Double takedown.
I didn't expect them to go down to NXT of all teams.
It seems a little different. We spoke about this. They've changed the player in the lineup. They're trying to make it work in a new approach. But so far, except with the first game, it doesn't seem to be completely working out. It's not a full-on rally that they're able to convert one after another. And now Struggle is making a quick run to see if he has a safe spot. But NXT, the confidence that they've built up after taking 2 of their players down, are now getting closer to eliminate Struggle. Hemu has also gotten closer, and Hemu was one of the reasons that K9 got eliminated in the first game. But God's Reign Struggle, he'll be able to put 1 player down, and then the conversion comes in. NXT do not lose a player, it's just a knock, but they get their 5th.
Yeah, so God's Reign trade 1 player for the other. Struggle at least gets a knock. He could have got the confirmation as well. That would have been a lovely point, because if he knew he's gonna die, if he knew that the vending machine is being camped, might as well get that 1 point before you revive your other players. But Tropsy also has enough coins to get his revives done, so he should be able to bring 1 more player back. That puts God's Reign at full strength again. NXT, on the other hand, will be thanking their lucky stars for having 5 points dropped into their lab. God knows they need all these points. But now that they've cleared up the the northeastern sector, they need to move towards Bayfront, where they expect more teams to come through, because teams like Silver Eagle and God's Reign are still stuck in the Council Hall region. And they've found Anubhav. Yeah, from 4-man strong to 3-man strong again. God's Reign keep losing a player and they get 1 player back. It's a constant cycle of revival and death.
It's not the usual game that we've seen coming in from God's Reign Pros in terms of their strategic approach. We did commend them on what they did on game number 1, right, Clips? But after that, game 2 and game 3, completely different right as of now. Individually in other directions, but for now, as a whole team, it's going to be R2V SINGH Gaming. Oh no, sorry. REAGANVERSE, who have managed to get closer towards NG Silver Eagle. And Jordex, after calling this Bolt Maker, pushing the players of REAGANVERSE away. Nazim and Jordex are ready, making sure that nobody gets closer. But Zappy, trying to get the players out, throwing out a couple of throwables, moving in the other direction. A flash freeze as well comes out, make it 2 as Jordex gets a little etched by it. And that's going to be REAGANVERSE moving in the other direction, slowly going around the council halls to find another reapproach for an attack. And they spot Sanatani and he's in trouble. He's only alone here. Can he do something different? Lays a land of glue walls to surround himself for survival, but he's surrounded in entirety. Nazim tries to help out, but not for long. Sanatani, has he made a run away? But for now, troubles might get bigger, as NG Silver Eagle now have her confidence hold, as Sanatani is still surviving.
Yeah, he's not just surviving, he's actually thriving. They're using Zappy as bait, because the moment Headshot tries to get inside and revive him, Nazim will drop down and spray down 1 more player from REAGANVERSE. Imto has no choice but to lick his wounds and run away, save his life. But Nazim, he's got his next target. The moment he gets up on that zip line, Struggle will spray him down. Maybe that was over-eagerness, or maybe that was lack of awareness. He had no idea that Struggle was on top of that zip line. But that will lead to devastation, because NG Silver Eagles, after winning the last game, are the first team to go out now.
Sitting at the top of the charts, but maybe this could be a buffer that works out after winning the previous game, getting the booyah, the amount of points that they have. So, qualifying in the top 9 still in their cards, not much of a trouble. But on the other end, God's Reign, they've picked up pace, instantly turning things around, getting back to that position and conquering it as well. METANINZA on the other end, they've moved towards Mammoth and now they have another team in trouble. Can they conquer a position as such? EC's Rex out and up, but he instantly gets taken down. But that is not from MetaNinza, and MetaNinza brew a trouble of their own. They decided maybe that he could jump up on the bones, grab that elimination, but Anshu, he gets taken down from two different teams. On one end there was RNX, and on the other corner there was another team trying to shoot them down. RNX now, after getting one player from EC, are moving again. Adi will easily pick that player out, but RNX are not out of trouble because it's going to be Team HIND who've made a jump here. A plushie comes across. Wolvin has gotten closer. Can he land the blow? No, say the sides and the lads of RNX as they put him down, confirm the elimination. Shoto, the newest addition, has to change something, bring about a new change. Adib did do the damage on him, but Shoto now surrounded with a lot of hits coming through. Adib in the meantime has patched himself up, ready for a fight. KD got trying to help, but Shoto goes down. It's all up to KD got to survive, and it doesn't work. RNX hold through. Adib as well as Hassan make sure that they're the ones picking eliminations, not Team HIND.
But Team HIND will respond in kind. You've got the players from high ground shooting down on Adib and Hassan. At least they get the confirmation onto Adib, so Team HIND have something to show for their troubles. But the moment Wolvin gets the revive, Arman figures out that there's gonna be at least one player near this vending machine. So he will start to pre-aim the player. He also sees KD God in the sky, and this VSK is the perfect weapon to hunt down any flying animals. KD God gets shot down before his feet even touch the ground, but he's landed on top of the sub, so maybe Wolvin can go in and revive him. This is a very risky res. They have to pop the time turner just to keep themselves safe, and even then they're at half HP before Arman and Shoto are on their throats. They're pressing down on their necks. KD God somehow survives this. He gets the knock onto Shoko. Arman goes down as well, and KD God comes through with a double. How on earth have Team HIND turned this around? They not only managed to get the two eliminations, those two eliminations give them enough points to get themselves a third revive. They just farmed the members of RNX to get all of their players online, and Team HIND have turned the tides. Now they are the ones stepping down the throats of RNX. Hassan has already been marked. A freeze flash grenade on top of him. Adib has been spotted as well. And Sahil has such a great angle. He can shoot down anyone from that spot. But he's choosing not to take that fight. Maybe they're waiting for an opportune moment.
He went a little too far. That's the reason he came back. But Hassan has climbed up the bones. Adib and Hassan, the way it's back on their shoulders to bring this fight in their favor. And Hassan decides to back down. But Adib now, they're getting closer. Rather than staying on the bones, they want to go on firm land. Sahil Jat might be in trouble, but Adib moves in the other direction. Now Hassan has to turn his play as well. And they have to run closer, get an opportunity to get the player back up, and Adib, the confidence that he showed previously in the fight, goes for it again, but this time he fails. Two players were aiming down at sights, and eventually he gets taken down. Not much that could have been done. The other survivor who was called, who was in the other direction, gets taken down by MetaNinza. So the numbers, they're falling down for RNX, and Hassan bringing it back up one after another. He was the savior, putting down Wolvin down there. And now RNX have three players back up. Sahil Jat, I think he's cleared this path, moved in the other direction, saying it's been far too long of a fight in this zone. It's time to not tank any more damage and let the side of RNX be here as long as they want.
I mean, the third circle is about to start closing, and at this point, the blue zone will really, really hurt you. And RNX wanted to get out of there, man. They wiped out the remaining members of Team HIND, used their coins to get the res on their players. It's just unfortunate that the two players who were revived landed straight into the crosshairs of MetaNinza, which forces them to stay out near the sub even more and then use that vending machine. But K9 recognized this opportunity, and look at them preemptively move towards the south, where the remaining members of Team HIND are still waiting for them. Do K9 know that there's Team HIND right underneath their feet? I think they must have spotted at least one, and they find Shoto. That's the end of him. Dafiq pumps his guts full of lead with that M590, and now they find Sahil Jat as well. They think it's just Team HIND, so they will not hesitate to chase down Sahil Jat at all, but they don't know that RNX are just around the corner. They probably can even see their vehicle from here.
Safe and sound. RNX should be able to get out of it. K9 on the other end, they quickly made a jump towards the sub, picked up an elimination in their favor, and they're moving in the other direction. And K9 have picked up in terms of their performance play that we did expect from the very start of today. It has changed, worked in the right direction, but something has to start working for REAGANVERSE as well. After what we saw in their first game, it's not been working out in game 2, and same goes for game 3. They've been the ones who've been getting eliminated, and rather not the ones who've been picking elimination. And there is that jump coming in. Anubhav, quick pick on it, and the players down. There's nothing much that they could do. And REAGANVERSE still in deep trouble. But on the other end, we did see the highest damage already soaring at 3000. It's going to be a deep from RNX. And it's brilliant stuff that he's done so far.
Definitely. I mean, these guys have been fighting Team HIND as well as K9. And on top of that, they had to fight a little bit of God's Reign as well. So yeah, RNX reasonably have the most damage now. But they also have the least number of players because they're standing on their last legs. And so is Team HIND. It's just KD God left. And he's heading right towards the member of REAGANVERSE, who is also alone, by the way. There are 3 teams right now with 1 member each. Team HIND, RNX, as well as REAGANVERSE, all with 1 player each. And the Fake finds him. That's the end of Team HIND. And K9,
Fortunate.
they did what RNX couldn't. They eliminated Team HIND very quickly. Meanwhile, RNX were fighting them, reviving against them, fighting them again, and then re-engaging. It was like a never-ending battle between RNX and Team HIND. It takes a third party in the form of K9 to finally put that battle to rest.
Right now, resting in prone is going to be Arman, so close by to K9. But it's a good approach that he's not giving or making any of the noise because ZUTSU have closed in the gap. But ZUTSU, their intentions in spotting a player, instantly taking down the last man from EC Esports. So troubles even in Kalahari for a lot of these teams. But along with that, even NXT, they cook up trouble for God's Reign Pros. And another unfortunate early elimination here for God's Reign. They were only able to pick 8 in total of Kalahari, and they're already out.
And both of those players were staying very close to each other. They both got shot at 1 bullet each. I wish I could have seen that from Wildfox's POV because that was a very fast double elimination which completely destroys God's Reign.
Next team, you've got incredible Crips.
They do look incredible, that's true. But R2VS are on top of that building and there's only 2 of them. The other 2, Delta as well as 1 more player, I do believe it's Antriksh, they are near the container. So this is a 2-2 split from the side of R2VS. They might not be able to get all the angles because look at K9. They have the angles on everybody. It's actually MetaNinza that go down first because both MJxOWNLEGACY as well as NXT were shooting at them. And now Honey steals that frag away from NXT. NXT faced a casualty in form of Ash while they were trying to take down MJxOWNLEGACY. But it's it's K9 who steal that frag away. And now even REAGANVERSE suffer the same fate. R2VS are finally reaping the rewards of the split push. They get all the angles on all these teams.
SINGH GAMING from the previous game itself, they've been a foot forward approach, they've been aggressive, they've been putting on hit lists, they've been approaching other teams, getting positions, taking eliminations, and right now they've caused trouble for NXT. But their troubles are not put to rest because ZUTSU have spotted them. And ZUTSU, they also have another trouble on one end. It might have been SINGH GAMING on the other, and they have K9 to be worried about. Bolt make a call, lightning all across these lands. And what do SINGH GAMING do? They do nothing. They were standing out in the open, and Hemu gets 2 of their players knocked. Unfortunate that the confirmation did not come through, but the shots that were rattled by Hemu now being affected through K9 and Delta being the last one standing from SINGH GAMING. What a change through coming through. But with that, we are down to our last 4 teams here on Kalahari.
And ZUTSU is the only one strong enough to contest them. K9 the Feek finally puts RNX out of their misery. They've held the center of the circle with an iron grip for way too long, but now they're pushed towards the edge, and it's BotGod's chance to dive straight inside and get a double elimination. Honey responds in kind. He gets the knock-in confirmation onto Soul, but Honey needs to get out of there. He's getting chased by all 3 members of ZUTSU Gaming, and this decision to step out of the tent might just backfire on them. It's all up to Xian. He has to pull off the 1v3. He gets the shot off, BotGod confirms Honey, so no more revives possible. But can Zian pull this off? He's trying to get the res onto Dafiq. He even pulls off the inhaler, and he's safe inside this cocoon of glue walls for the time being. But BotGod climbs up on top. He uses the parkour and another glue wall to step on top and get the elevation. This is ZUTSU's game for the taking. All they have to do is deal with Delta. They've already dealt with the dogs. They've already dealt with the wolves and the canines. And now they deal with everybody to claim the booyah and win Kalahari.
What a gameplay coming from these lads. They needed to clinch it. They had the numbers. They had the information of every team, and they banked upon it, started taking down players, and what a game to turn around. ZUTSU Gaming, they get the Game 3 booyah in their favor of Group C. Right as in now, every team that we've seen who picked up pace and started gaining points have been brilliant in terms of action, and in this game you have to again turn towards BotGod of how he turned that final fight in the team's direction. Along with him was Harsh. If these two did not work in tandem, it could have been ZUTSU going down, because we did see Honey, he did take players down from ZUTSU, caused trouble for them, but it was BotGod and Harsh who answered back, put Honey down, and made sure that the trouble that they had would be put to rest. But there could have been a situation where in this final fight that we see, ZUTSU could have had a situation where they could have been taken down, only if R2V SINGH Gaming, they decided to push forward, the last player surviving Delta. But look at this, the way Honey was turning around, but eventually Harsh making this jump on that glue wall was the end for Zian. He thought he was safe and sound, but it does not work against a grapple, and with that, surrounded by enemies in all directions, ZUTSU confirmed this booyah in their name. However, it's not ZUTSU at the top of the charts, it's going to be K9, because it was another fantastic game for K9 with a total of 29 points and 21 coming all from only elimination scripts.
21 eliminations for K9 Esports. I think they could have won the booyah if they stayed inside the tent. They thought that they were the only team with all 4 players alive, and they jumped towards the edge of the map to get the confirmations onto all the weaker teams. But little did they realize that ZUTSU Gaming will take that chance and wipe them out completely when K9 had their backs against the blue zone. Good booyah for ZUTSU Gaming, but they're still 3 points behind K9. NXT Esports, what a resurgence. They needed those points. They weren't even in the top half of the overall standings, but I think this game should help them climb up courtesy of those 21 points. RNX as well as R2V SINGH Gaming. Good games from them both, 19 and 15 points respectively, as well as METANINZA finally breaking the double-digit curse and getting 14.
MVP goes to BotGod. We spoke about him. He was the reason that we ended up seeing in the final fight of how the game itself turned around and made sure ZUTSU survived for the longest, having the chrono, making sure nobody takes a shot when he's inside, also having Olivia for making sure that the healing is going to be better whenever used, and on top of that Nikita in terms of the reloading speed along with Joseph. This is why we end up seeing BotGod, who was so very quick even in game number 1, which was a similar approach that we ended up seeing from ZUTSU. They did not get a booyah at game 1, but this is the similar approach of how BotGod was running around. A damage of 2000 coming in from his end, 6 eliminations and 5 assists. A total of 11 eliminations is what he was a part of, but his squad as well as a whole played to help this booyah happen.
Let's take a look at their abilities, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a nice spread they've got over here. They've got defensive options in terms of the chrono that BotGod has, and he also has Olivia, so they can get the nice reses faster. But he's also got Joseph and Nikita, so he can continue sustained raids. At the same time, Harsh is using the A124, which, if popped at the right time, can undo an entire team's effort. It can even negate their positions if used correctly. Sid, of course, preferring the Nero over the Skylar because he's the designated sniper. And then finally, you've got Soul with that Oscar, who, by the way, was using the SMGs really well. And we saw Soul get so many eliminations because he was in the right place at the right time, all thanks to using that Oscar dash perfectly.
And he was playing with his passive as J Beebs, which helps in his EP. That is one of the reasons we end up seeing a lot of players in that passive. But with that, let's again quickly talk about in the numbers game, where we see Soul also with 2 eliminations, 3 assists and 3 knockouts. Even Sid has 2, along with that Hirsch has 4. And again, an average of around 1000 damage. Sid might have not had a lot here, because I think compared to the long range game here, we ended up seeing it being a lot more close combat action coming through. That is the reason Sid couldn't find as much as he wanted, but he was still troubling, and that is the reason he has 2 assists, because of the Cryo Mind Nero plushie that he was using, and knockouts as well. And Hirsch on top of it, I think you have to give kudos to him, because he was also one of the reasons that they were able to convert the fights on K9. Otherwise, I think Zian, he was trying to pace himself, calm himself down for that fight, because he knew it was a 1v2 approach and he could have turned it in his favor if possible. But Hirsch decided he's not going to give him that timing, jumped up on the glue wall, took him down, has 7 knockouts in his name, just like what Botcott did. An incredible game coming in. Let's take a look at what went down in Kalahari.
Yep. So over here, you will see how teams like God's Reign as well as Team HIND were fighting their own battles. God's Reign controlling the entire northeastern sector, getting a lot of eliminations. Same with Team HIND, getting so many frags while they are messing with RNX and Team METANINZA. But eventually, when all of them move into the the 4th circle, at that time, K9 take the center spot. And from that spot, K9 are able to farm a bunch of eliminations until the very last moment, where they jump out of that tent in the center and they go to the edge to get the confirmations onto R2VS. They thought that R2VS are safe. They thought that R2VS are vulnerable, so they jump out of their own tents and try to confirm those eliminations. But little did they know that ZUTSU Gaming will also abandon their post and come to fight those guys in the end over there. So if K9 probably didn't leave the center, they maybe would have won the booyah in this game, but they end up giving it away to ZUTSU.
I think ZUTSU's approach is something that we've seen from game number 1, right? They like to be aggressive, they run towards that fight, and they always convert it. They've always been closer to winning those games, and that's what happened in game 1, game 2 as well. It's only when they're caught off with multiple teams trying to fight them off. Otherwise, ZUTSU are also always on that first approach. They're the ones who are going to initiate rather than the ones who are going to react to it. So they're the ones in the driving seat at all games that we've seen so far, and finally they managed to convert it. This is why I said so many names that we have here in Group C, but we cannot pick one favorite. Even though you might end up seeing NG Pros with God's Reign Pros as their new name, you cannot still say that they are the ones topping the charts. Team HIND, they've still not had the best of the games, and right now ZUTSU picking up points. K9, who came closer but have become consistent. Who else do you say in terms of the name? RNX had the very first game with a total of 16 eliminations. So much happening here, Crips.
Yeah, and there's so many teams who've had a lot of good golden chances. They squandered those chances and ended up coming in 2nd and 3rd. But even then, they were consistent enough to find themselves in the upper half of this overall scoreboard. And then there are teams who have been dominating throughout. Whether or not they get the booyah, they always get a high elimination game, and they find themselves at the top of the charts. While these two types of teams are populating the first half of the overall standings, the teams on the bottom half really need to step up. There's only 3 more games left, and you need to stay out of the bottom 3. Will they be able to claw their way into the top 9? Find out after a short break.
Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we were expecting drama in this tournament and we have got it today. The first 2 days were kind of like, there was one team dominating, there was one team setting records, but the third day is turning out to be something unique. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, after the break. This is TEZ FFMIC India Cup Spring 2026. And with me on the desk is going to be Oro this time. And I'm pretty excited because I believe the smile on his face says that he was expecting drama today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was expecting drama, and there is still drama happening, right? I was expecting an upset as well, and look at how HIND is literally lurking towards that position, and where you just might get eliminated as well. So they are towards that 9th position. If you are not able to get enough points, you just might find yourself out of TEZ FFMIC Spring 2026, and that can be pretty much difficult for any of those teams out there. Speaking about these 6 tier 1 teams, they've started things on a very good note, specifically about K9. After the first game, I thought, things are not looking good. They had only 2 points, but then the last game with 21 elimination points, I think they will feel much more confident in our cup.
Absolutely, but we're able to see that these star-studded teams, the stars are able to shine out bright. Then that's one thing I feel Team HIND is failing to showcase. Probably this will be the game for them to go in for a comeback. But ladies and gentlemen, let's look at how things are going to turn out when it comes to the drop spots of the map of Alpine. For now, I don't see major drop clashes, but I'm kind of concerned for METANINZA as well, because they've been having a decent day so far, but we did see, right, there was another team, Assassin Army, yesterday. They did showcase some good games in the first few, and they fumbled so bad in the final 3. I hope METANINZA is not walking in their footsteps.
Definitely, there is a possibility still there. They're in the 7th position with 34. But then if you have a clash right now, by looking at the preferred drop spot, then you have to be very prepared. METANINZA have been prepared, but they have not found out the correct positioning or maybe the correct flow which they got in the city qualifiers, to be honest. But then when they were playing during their city qualifiers, Arka, I think they were much more comfortable there playing against some nobodies. But now the pressure is right back there. They have some changes in the lineup as well. ZUTSU inclusion is there. The way Ginotra is handling things is looking pretty much okayish, but still, I have seen METANINZA doing better than this.
Absolutely. Now, to add a little spice to all this, it's no more default maps, right? We're going to have 3 unique maps to be played. But looking at our predictions, Oro, I seem... Oh my God, both of us are almost the same, but I see that you have gone with one different team. So I think with me trying to go with K9 is obvious because they're having a good flow. I expected the Fake to be performing the way he is, but you going with another team altogether, any justifications?
See, I have gone in with, I think that's the only change is RNX. So RNX, at this very moment, they are at the top. They are being consistent and they have the momentum. So I have always been going on with teams who have the momentum, have the flow. And that's the way I think teams also function. And they just might find themselves in a better shape, to be honest, in the games. So, since you said these are not going to be the default maps, those are already done. Usually with the randomizer, we see some different maps coming in. But this time it is very different with Group C, with the group of TEZ out there. So definitely things have spiced up. And with the last 3 games left out, we will see some drama unfolding before we jump on to who qualifies and who does not.
I mean, I've seen a lot of difference when it comes to the game style of Group A and B compared to Group C. Here I see more of a controlled aggression. I don't see anybody, creating havoc. Do you feel it's some kind of a fear that they carry, that they know there are, more than 5 T1 teams in the lobby? Let's not make something weird. Or do you think that everybody is trying to be strategical so that, the final few games, that is where they're going to showcase their true talent?
The question is, does strategy work here? Specifically if you're planning, if you are a team who have qualified from the FFC mode, not the tier 1 teams. There are a few tier 1 teams who have made through the FFC mode. Specifically talking about a team EC Esports or MJxOWNLEGACY. These teams are not able to find their momentum, not even able to find their spot. I don't know, they're a little confused or maybe not playing freely. They're pressured, and that happens, when you're in a stage like this, in a TEZ FFMIC India Cup Spring 2026.
6. The stakes are a lot, and definitely if you are not able to play freely, this is how the formats are. You have to be at your best. You only get single days. You have 6 games, and if you're not able to play freely as players, something that's gonna pinch you at the end of the day, that I could have done better. That is something as esports players, I don't think players would want in that loop to be.
I somewhere feel MetaNinza might be in a bit of a trouble because that change of one player who kept coming and going out, that seems to have played a very psychological pressure on them. And I do believe that, the upcoming map is going to show us whether MetaNinza are actually under pressure, because, ladies and gentlemen, we are now getting ourselves ready to fly over Alpine, and the drop location seems to be really good, and it all depends on what the flight path is going to look like.
Definitely. Let's see if we find some clashes right here. The plane path is a little skewed towards the southern end, where Rivermouth looks like the center. The northern ends of the Alpine looks a little bit difficult to uncontest, where I think Garrison, Railroad, or even maybe Carousel, where players might look to go. But then let's see how teams, spread out at this very moment. Look at Blueville. There are 2 teams. K9 has, competition there, and it is Team EC Esports who are looking to challenge them, and that's going to be an interesting competition to look at, Arka, because EC Esports doesn't have the momentum right now, and K9 are having that momentum very well. And look at Duffy, he starts well by taking down Kalu here.
Now, is this the end or is this the beginning for EC? Because I think all 3 players are still trying to hold on to their horses. They're still trying to defend this compound, whereas K9, they're converging from all different directions, and they need to be careful. They need to survive, or else I don't think so K9 is going to let them breathe. For now, Honey, all he's doing is trying to grab information for Duffy, who comes in from a different angle altogether, gets inside. 2 of these players are pouncing upon them, and EC, they're left out with one last player who's trying to run away from this position, but they won't let them breathe, because it's got to be K9 the Hounds. They hunt them down, and the first elimination, even before 2 minutes of this game gets completed.
Arka, look at the timer. You already mentioned, you can do those emotes. That the player, the Feek, had done a 1v4. Even if, all the players were surviving who were there to support him. But with that new revival meta in the OB52 update, you still have 150 seconds. Why do you want to challenge a team like this? Oh, goodness me. This is going to hurt them big time. They are in the 11th position, and they have messed up big time, Arka. Let's see how they recover in the last 2 games. But HIND Esports, they are fighting up against Team RNX when Hassan finds Sahil Chart. Adib, and he continues to fire as Sahil Chart gets one more. He might find the 3rd one as well, possibility there. He used the Nero plushie, he uses it, and Arman gets taken out. This time KD God supports him. HIND Esports are just pounding. And they might this approach. Just take down HIND. Yeah, Arka.
Yeah, I like this approach from HIND, They're not stopping themselves, especially the person who knows that his crosshair is sticking right is just going to keep firing, where the rest of the teams are just going to grab that attention away. But as of now, I can see that MJs are interested to come in for a conflict over here. They know they can third party, but Wolwin, he's the one closest to the opponents. From a distance shot, he's trying to prove himself right by landing a shot or 2, and also making sure that he strikes fear in the hearts of the enemies.
HIND Esports, they've already gotten 4 elimination points. A good start for them. They needed that, and they need it badly. And they have to start from this map itself. Oh, KD God, pretty accurate with those shots onto Sid. He eliminates him pretty casually, right, Arka there? And gets the 5th elimination point confirmed. They still have one team sitting right on top of their head. They ignored them because they know that we will not be able to fight with them. So let's ignore them and fight with ZUTSU Gaming.
I guess that is how you need to play this game. Try to take down the nearest enemy or the weaklings first, so that you have points through eliminations. And look at what HIND is doing. They've got that warehouse covered, so they do not need to worry. The Thunders have been striking outside, and MJ, who came in to pounce upon them, are now on the receiving end of things. A sad start for MJ, if you ask me. Team HIND, it's Sahil, I kind of like this positioning, a 3-1 split, where one player at a distance is trying to take down players who are at the top of the building, but K9 on the other side, they hear all this commotion, they understand there's more than one team, and they evade from this fight to come in from an angle where they have a view of the battlefield.
Exactly, the Feek in a big flank. Look at him, he has already covered up the space. Zian and Honey are just waiting for aim to be with them. But the question is, how will K9 strike? Because HIND, they have their covers placed right now. They know, they're expecting that somebody might just come from the backlines. And there you go. Shoto was prepared with that Woodpecker. And he takes down Zian pretty simply. Wolvin, though he has been taken out. And the meanwhile, MJxOWNLEGACY have been eliminated as well. So you can understand the pressure inside the lobby right now. The teams are wanting to get those points on board. The pace have changed. The gears have changed out. I can already feel it.
Absolutely. The underdogs are suffering, whereas the Wolves, they've been picking up some really good action. HIND on the other side are now, tasting their own medicine. Wolvin gets taken down, but immediately gets rest. But Katie God, he's going to be the strongest link. He also gets taken down, and Honey, he's going to move forward. He's going to try to find the location of the next player. He seems to be a bit more aggressive. He knows where Wolvin is. Even though the time turner comes in, it's not going to stop him. Puts down another player, gets that confirmation as well. And Dafiq, at a distance, he's just enjoying every single bullet he's able to connect.
K9 must be enjoying right now. They wanted this flow. And look at Dafiq, he has just stepped up big time, and they needed him to step up. We were drawing comparisons between them and God's Reign Pros. Oh, he just comes in. He just comes in and connects an AC-80 shot right in the head. And Team HIND has been eliminated. Arca, this is not again looking good for Team HIND. Even though they started well, they have got 7 elimination points. But they getting eliminated here, it's just going to cost them big time. There's an instant replay coming between the fight between ZUTSU Gaming. And that's how MJxOWNLEGACY got eliminated, Arca.
I'm kind of shocked. Trust me when I say this. I never expected HIND to go away so quickly. I was wanting them to have a little bit of a controlled aggression, wait, prioritize the circle and try to play well. Probably it's their aggression which they are not able to, hold on to themselves with. Whereas K9, I guess they're also prepared. There's another team approaching. Dafiq, he doesn't bother. He comes out, he sees a glue wall, and now he's prepared. It's an AC-80 versus a sniper fight which is taking place over here. Dafiq understands the intensity of the situation, gets into cover, makes his teammates come in closer. Dafiq is going to be hunted for now, but his teammates, it seems like they're not far away and they're waiting for information to be passed.
Yeah. Anshu, he's taking a lot of damage. He gets taken out. Zarvis, he needs to revive him. Uses the time turner, but then right in front of him, there's a man standing and waiting. He needs support, then he uses the corner of that glue wall, connects that M590 and eliminates that member, METANINZA. They did manage to fight this out pretty well. 8 eliminations in their corner, but the fight has not stopped yet. Zian, he was waiting there. He was reviving the members. And I would definitely want to point this out, Arca, that players have been practicing a lot that, while the fights are on, they still want to opt for the vending machines because they know that while their members are being taken out, they can still get back those players back in the lobby, and that too with the speed. So that just gives them the time on bringing back those players, which, gives an edge over other players.
Absolutely. Now, again, the most important part over here is how that solo player stayed away from the enemy eyesight. He made sure that, he's always undercover. He doesn't do too much of a noise. He's close to the vending machine, even though his players are getting taken down. He had his route sorted, and due to which K9 is able to breathe for a brief period of time. And guess what? Now they're being hunted by RNX.
Oh, no.
Put down another player. Honey is going to be the last man standing, and yet again, there's this last ray of hope for K9. As he gets closer to those coins, I don't think so there's going to be any kind of problem for him to revive his teammates.
This is good. This is good Free Fire Max gameplay coming in. This is good awareness also from K9. They know that they have the points now. They have to focus on the survival game, which they have been doing in the last 2 games specifically, after what happened in the first game, which was actually a mishap, or maybe things didn't work in their favor. But the good thing is they did not panic there. Whereas in the other teams in the lobby have just not found their footing, specifically talking about R2VS, which is SINGH Gaming's team, still haven't opened their accounts, Arka. With the new revival meta, it's very surprising to see teams still getting eliminated before the 3-minute mark, and we are 10 minutes into the game and a team hasn't found their openings. But ZUTSU Gaming in a battle, they have lost 2 members, BotGod and Harsh. With the booyah they have gotten the last game, fighting it out against Silver Eagle. They were the team to beat. Look at him dashing in. He has the extreme encounter tagged in as well. That's Soul. He would want to take this fight, and he eliminates NG Silver Eagle. What an anti-climax onto this team. After the highs of the second map, they have just not found their footing, or maybe the consistency which ideally would have any team wanted.
Drama, drama, drama. That is what is happening out here, my friends. Because ZUTSU, the way they've hunted down the MVP of the previous game, that's no joke. But at the same time, look at what's happening out here. It's ZUTSU reviving their teammates, making sure they also get a proper footing in this lobby. Whereas on the other side, I see that K9, all 4 players are back into this game. And slowly and steadily, I'm 100% sure that they'll try to do their best to not get taken down. And before I could complete my sentence, Zafi gets taken down, instant revival, and gets away from that weak spot.
Oh, the plushie comes and gets stuck on his face. Oh no, because of that damage, exactly. He didn't have the HP to recover. Now, GDR has the information. They would have read the finish feed, but they're not interested in this fight. They have immediately taken a fall back. I mean, maturity, or maybe some awareness being decided by the IGL struggle, because the past 2 games for GDR has not been that great, but still they have managed to maintain their 3rd positioning. They have 49 points, but in the meanwhile, METANINZA, they're upping the ante, shifting gears, taking fight against RNX. Takes down 2 members. Actually, it was not RNX, it was Team RV, because R2VX SINGH Gaming's team. Still 2 members alive, Arka.
Absolutely. METANINZA, I like this approach coming in from their side as well. They understood being in the 7th position in the overall standing is just going to hinder them further into this tournament. And that is why now they've come to a very composed way of tackling this situation. Look at them, holding the corners of the circle, checking their backlines, making sure that nobody's there to backstab them, looking at their next target, aiming to see if they get an opening there, and if they do, then immediately they're going to pounce upon them. For now, it's going to be K9, and the shots are going to be connecting.
METANINZA towards river mouth. Circle is far away. They have to move in, but then they have to decide that how much time they want to devote to this fight. I think that the call is clear right now. While taking this fight, they will move away. They're swaying away right now. It's only Zap with that sniper. He's holding. The drone was deployed for the information game, but then immediately being destroyed by Zap. K9 on the other end. They have to buy time for themselves, but they have the vehicle advantage. So definitely not that big of a problem, but still look at GDR right now. It's God's Rain Pros were in the vicinity, and they are inside the circle, so that's not going to be a problem for them taking the fight from that angle.
Absolutely, and they've also got the bird's eye view, right? They've got the height advantage, and they're making the best use of it. K9 needs to be very, very careful as they drive around. They get in closer towards GDR. They're going to make sure they come in and pounce upon them. METANINZA as well. They've got an off angle. They need to be careful. And what happens out there? Oh my goodness. GDR and K9, they come in to clash over here. The big bulls locking horns. As Zion is going to be holding back, making sure he puts an eye on the METANINZA team. It's going to be God's Rain trying to get in closer. Aim God. Dafiq and Honey still trying to do their best. Struggle comes in from one angle, and Honey says, you know what, I'm going to fall back for a few minutes. Struggle comes in from the other side. Duffy gets right into his face, tries to put him down, but still takes a hefty amount of damage, not only from the zone, but also all 4 players from GDR pouncing upon K9 at this point of time. K9 aim, he'll have to survive, he'll have to make sure that Zion gets into the circle. Duffy immediately gets revived, and that becomes the changing point at this given point of time in the game. Duffy comes in from a different angle. Corpsey needs to be careful, or else he might get taken down as well.
Propsy and Anubhav still surviving. Aim barely surviving, and they get taken down. Wow, what a moment in the game. K9 being eliminated. You know, there was a 3-1 split there, Arka, and we need to break this down fight. But I don't think we will get that time because the fights are happening constantly. This time it's RNX Esports trying to get inside the circle, and look at God's Reign Pros. They still have the height advantage, but the only problem is they have 2 players left out. But the last time the 2 players were alive from God's Reign, they converted the Booyah. God's Reign Cropsey trying to take few shots over there. This very moment, it's going to be difficult this time for God's Reign to convert a Booyah. ZUTSU Gaming right now with 4 members. You know, they have been chased in. Bot God, Soul and Harsh. Look at Soul, he have already creeped in. Now, those nades, and Soul dashes in, and as well dash comes in from Cropsey as well. Bot God fighting in another corner, gets Anubhav there. Soul fighting against Cropsey. Cropsey gets taken out. Bot God there survives and eliminates God's Reign Pros. It's a 4v2 situation. RNX has the advantage, Arka.
Yeah, and they've been playing well. Look at them. Patience has paid off for them. They bounce upon ZUTSU at this point of time. Bot caught inside that time turner, trying to buy some time, but will he have enough? No, that's not going to be the case. Hassan gets in, makes sure he puts an end to him. And now far away is going to be Sid. He's trying to give away his elimination towards the zone. I believe that is a strategy, and it comes out well. But ladies and gentlemen, the Booyah walks away into another team altogether this time. And that means the drama still continues.
Wow, I mean, such an amazing game. RNX waited for their time. They did not want to overcommit. They did not overextend in any of those situations. They knew that both the teams will fight and we will have the correct timing, and they found that timing and just made sure they had that numbers advantage in their favor. And it was basic Free Fire max game coming out at that very last moment. They only had to take down individual player from ZUTSU Gaming, and they did that pretty well and converted the Booyah. Now, they already had that top spot. Getting a Booyah just ensures extra cushioning for them, Arka.
Absolutely. Now, you know, I'm still thinking about how the points table is going to turn after this. Yes, RNX were on the top of the table. They pulled off a beautiful Booyah out here. That means they might retain the top spot yet again. But God's Reign, they survived until the end. ZUTSU did. Kanan kind of fumbled. Silver Eagles were taken out early. METANINZA did try to do their best. HIND was taken out early. So that means when we look at the overall standing, we are bound to see some shockers coming in front of us.
I mean, even I was shocked about the fact that how the fights turned out in the end moment, right? You know, the choice, how HIND wanted to fight K9, and even K9, you know, decidingly pushing onto God's Reign Pros, knowing the fact that they already had their advantage. And I wanted to break that fight down at that very moment, but I did not have the timing or the space. But now,
go ahead,
you know,
go ahead.
There were 3 players, who were fighting for K9 with 4 players. Who closed in from God's Reign Pros, and 1 man, it was I think Zion with that sniper. He was left out in a far away position. He was there supposed to create a backup, but then nothing came in from him. No eliminations came in from his side, which was the main problem. And I think that's how K9 suffered, because 4 members, when you're converging against a team who only you have to show up with 3 players, it's always going to be a problem.
Yeah, and at one point of time, I didn't understand. There was a quick revival which came in for Dafiq, and it seems like he was stuck behind that blue wall. He didn't know what to do next. Probably after that revival, if there was more space for them to breathe, things would have been a little bit different. Nevertheless, all the teams are showcasing what to do at what given point of time, so that, you know, we, those people who play the game for fun, can learn a lot, pick up a lot from them, and look forward for a better game.
Yeah, definitely. These were the last few moments. And this is how the fight started. See, Godzilla still had the positioning, but it didn't have the circle. So RNX knew that they just need to find the correct timing. And they found out the correct timing between the God's Reign Pros fight and the ZUTSU Gaming fight. Look at them. Once they moved inside this fight, it was ZUTSU Gaming who wanted to fight. Of course, they had the numbers advantage, but they forgot about RNX, who were coming from the back lines. And as I said, the timing was there. And specifically talking about the three members, right? Shoko, Arman, and Adib, and also Hassan as well. They have been handling pressure so well, and that is why I guess the points have been so higher for RNX Esports.
RNX 24 points. ZUTSU is going to be walking in their same footsteps. Even though they don't have the placement points, the hard work is paid off for them. 15 eliminations in total coming in for ZUTSU. METANINZA, they picked up a pace. They were rewarded well. K9 as well. All these teams which we expected to play well have got decent amount of eliminations. And then comes the disappointments, right? We've got Team HIND who's got just 8 points in this game. Silver Eagles, they were clipped off early. NXT as well, not having such a great time. It's good for us to say the undergods are right now suffering and trying to breathe in this lobby.
Let's have a look at the today's standings, Arka. I mean, the picture might be very clear for us, and the last two games left out, will just give them the objective to, understand that how many points they would need to capture so that they might end up towards that top 9 spot. Team HIND, as I said, they are barely surviving with them and REAGANVERSE with only 3-pointer difference. 33 and 30 does not make any difference. One game you might just get taken out. And even EC Esports and MJxOWNLEGACY, as we mentioned earlier as well, they are little struggling. They are not able to find their footing and even looking confused. But at the top, they're looking pretty clear. Is what RNX Esports is doing with the Booyah, now making their position solid and also creating a buffer between them and ZUTSU Esports.
I strongly feel RNX are going to go all out in the next few games. Now they've understood, right? They're going to move forward in this tournament, and now they'll try to experiment. They'll try to be as aggressive as possible. ZUTSU on the other side, they've got 76 points in total. That's also a very decent start. They're living up to our expectations. K9, we don't have to say anything about this team, right? If they can just hold on to their horses in the final few circles, I'm 100% sure that they can walk away with more than one Booyah in the with the left out 2 games, upcoming games.
Yep, and I think Arka, specifically talking about the most valuable player, is none other than Arman with 4 elimination points. He was surprisingly using Casey, with being the role of a nader, taking the role of a nader there and getting 2200 damage, also showcases that even if the active character skill is a supporting agent, you can still make impact, and that is how Arman is.
2275 damage and AC 80. Where I thought that Duffy could be one of those monsters using that AC 80. Here comes another man proving to me that he's also a player to watch out for. Let me remind you, he was a Grenadier as well. He's got that beast to increase that damage. He's done a crazy job. Being a support, having Casey to make sure that, he has that healing bond every now and then when the team requires, and still being the MVP. Heavy lifting done by this lad.
Yeah. And here comes the Booyah team stats, Arka. Alongside Arman, it was also Hassan, Adib, and Shoko. Adib and Hassan being the 2 rushers. They are so well in tandem with the synergy, where Oscar is what I think Adib is using at this very moment, using the dash ability to close in and create that bifurcation. And I think Hassan has also done well with those shots being connected on the fight situations. And I feel Shoko, he has been that sniper, he has been supporting well. So specifically talking about their numbers also, we will jump into that page as well. But I feel as a team, they're playing complete, and the way everybody has been handling their roles is so good to look at.
Absolutely. Now, one more thing which I've observed is the team which has retained the Booyah, none of them have got the enhanced hammer. Either they've got the tactical shooter or, team booster. And that's something, we have to talk about. Yes, we're going to be speaking about it in a few minutes now. But looking at the stats of this team, 1600 damage for 3 eliminations, 1800 for 3, and 2200 for 4. They've been very clinical. Let's not forget Choco as well has got 2 eliminations in a ratio for 695 damage.
Yeah, exactly. I think the way Arman, Hassan, Adib and Shoko have been getting those numbers on board, we might just find them with 100 points after the 5th game is done. So we will catch up onto that. But before that, we will definitely jump onto the circle analysis of how did they manage to rotate inside, this chaos, specifically talking about Alpine. I mean, they positioned themselves so well. We can see the cluster, right? They managed to get themselves in stadium. It was full chaos with so many teams converging, but still they somehow managed to survive and they dominated those fights as well. And also in some positions, they did manage to, avoid some situations, which was, I guess, required in some moments.
Absolutely. Now look at one thing which I've been observing, right? The third circle seems to become that dead drop, dead silent spot. We have hardly got some 4 eliminations, obviously, because 2 teams were trying to pick up eliminations. Apart from that, I've seen the rest of the teams avoid fights at the third circle. And that means in further moments of this game, we can expect somebody to kick things off, make sure he picks up a certain amount of eliminations in the third circle, forget about their rotation, because obviously the teams who have qualified, who are pretty strong with their qualification, will look forward to pick up those eliminations.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also how EC Esports challenged upfront, right? They have, I think, understood the fact that now if we want to qualify or maybe, dream about the top 9 spot, there is no other way than, gaining elimination points or maybe increasing our survival time inside the game. And how do you do that? By again getting eliminations, because with the current meta, there's no other way than getting those elimination points, because, we were talking about Group A and Group B matches. And even if we see the FFC mode teams or maybe talk specifically about the underdogs, they have done so well on the elimination card. I think that is why they have also managed to dominate and showcase that what they are made of.
Yeah, now it's time for us to turn the page, because now we're stepping into next era. The drop spots of every single team on our screens right now. In the previous game, the western side was kind of empty, and this time I can see that the eastern part of this map, especially Mortar Ruins, Rust Town, these are the places it seems to be empty. Yes, we do see that there's a small cluster right around God's Reign team, but I do believe that those teams who are at the bottom of the table would want to avoid those fights, try to survive a bit more better, try to understand the lobby better, and then go in for fights.
And even I think I feel the same way for a team called REAGANVERSE. If you want to converge in a position like a Subway, and that too in a 3-way fight between God's Reign and NXT, see, those two might not have a problem, because they might welcome them with open hands, because they are literally confident with any kind of situations inside the map right now. But then NXT, they still might have a little concern with the survival game they have been putting up. They only have 48 points to show up, so they need to understand also that, along with surviving, they need some elimination points, and also they need to understand the lobby, as you mentioned, Arka. Quite a few teams have not done that in a great fashion, and that just might be a little weak link which these teams might find out exploiting in the last 2 games.
Deca Square and Grave Labs are the 2 places where you get so much of loot for your team. And since the new meta is forcing teams to go in and get some eliminations, most of these teams are trying to avoid such places. There was a time where we used to consider these places to be the hotspots, where people would want to go there, not only take fights, but also pick up some frags. But this time the story is turning out to be a little different. As we speak about the difference, we're going to be looking at our predictions. For now, I've come up with 3 different names altogether. I know both of us are very close when it comes to, the teams which are doing really well in the T1 spots. Like I've got MetaNinza, I've got Team HIND, you've got God's Reign, you've got ZUTSU. But there comes a bit of a difference, especially for those teams who are not able to do well. One is going to be REAGANVERSE. I went in for REAGANVERSE, obviously, because the underdogs, they need a tap on their shoulder, my friend. We need to make sure we motivate them a little, and for that reason I'm going with REAGANVERSE.
Exactly. They are, towards the 10th position right now with only a difference of 3 points. So I think one good game and they will find themselves towards that spot. And
Yeah.
definitely, I think, Arka, with the kind of talent we have seen already in the Group A and Group B matches,
Yeah.
I definitely was waiting for some teams to at least show up and say that, okay, we can look into the eye of some tier 1 teams and challenge them up front. But that has not been the case yet. And
Yeah.
we still wait for the last two games to turn out. Let's see if we find out something in the last 2 games, because that's where I think the drama is gonna get an extra pinch.
Absolutely. Now, Oro, I have a question for you. We saw that the first 2 days there were teams who crossed 100 marker, right?
Yeah.
And they did it with style. I mean, yesterday we saw how Seoul was able to pull things off. Do you think that any
Definitely there is a possibility of RNX doing that, but this is the 5th game of TEZ FFMIC India Cup Spring 2026 for Group 3, of course, which is, of course, the Group C, the Group of Death, the plain path, dissecting the map in half, and possibility as expected according to the preferred drop spots. They're not going anywhere near that. K9 and also RNX and HIND. Look at them converging in Turbine. This is a shocker.
It's not only a shocker, but at the same time, this just calls for more drama in this lobby. But the most important thing for us to watch out for is, will they prolong this fight? Because I'm 100% sure both of these teams would want to survive for the longest time possible. Arman on the other side says, you know what, let's converge and let's try to pick up as many frags as possible, because it's bound for us to get into the crosshairs for say any other team out here. RNX, they'll be rewarded with 1 for their bravery, but on the other side, there's another player from HIND who's grabbed all the attention, very low on HP, and I don't think so he's going to survive.
What just happened there, Arka, while RNX was jumping or making their move towards Turbine, 1-1 players from each K9 and of course from Team HIND wantingly changed their parachuting towards this spot, and the rest of the team did not come. Just shows that they might want to target RNX. Is that the storyline which we are going to see right now? That just makes the game a little bit spicier. But then RNX won't mind that because they already have that top spot, right? You just cannot expect a team with 80 plus points with not qualifying for the next round.
The calm before the storm. Now, I was expecting some really early skirmish to take place. Teams to fight it out from the beginning, especially for teams like Team RNX. And before I could complete my sentence, we have seen the team at the very bottom of the table, REAGANVERSE. They are trying to pick up some frags out here. They've got a casualty, but the retaliation has come through as well. Soul gets taken down, but what a shot from the back lines. He gets punished for trying to put a player down, but his teammate is kind of at a distance, and will he be able to retaliate the same way?
RVM2. He has a VSS in his hand. This weaponry has been buffed up with extra amount of damage. Definitely will help his confidence, but Team REAGANVERSE have... Oh wait, he did not expect the flank. Now the time turner being committed. Of course, it's pressure and aim2 gets taken out. Wait, didn't he get the sound cue? What was he thinking looking at the other members?
I have no clue what happened out there, but one thing is for sure, he was just inches away from getting panned. And he didn't want to go, he didn't want to have that disgrace over his shoulder. So that's why he tried to avoid that, tried to take cover inside the time turner. And eventually he got that, demise, not from that of a pan. But for now, ZUTSU, I like this approach. They come in, they execute, and they run away. Hit and run.
I mean, that's how Car98 have always played, Arka. They were one of the teams to play in the last season of TEZ FFMIC 2025 LAN, and they were one of the teams as well who were the first ranked team in FFC mode. Now they have competition right now where they said, okay, we'll take this fight later. Uses the launch pad, goes towards the circle, and that's the better way to look at it, because of course fighting it outside the circle does not make sense. You'll have that constant damage. But it is RVX SINGH Gaming's team, R2VX SINGH Gaming's team, fighting it out against God's Rain Pros, where Anubhav and Cropsy have found value.
Absolutely, and Struggle comes in to make sure that he increases the misery for the opponent. puts down the player. The confirmation will obviously come any moment now. Look at how calm he is. He's just buying time. He knows that NXT, the more time they spend out there, the more chances of their teammates getting in closer. And Anubhav, that's exactly what he's trying to do. Uses a UAV for information. As on the other side, it's Struggle who gets taken down. Anubhav, he comes under pressure a little bit, and it all comes down to Cropsy. What is he gonna do next?
NXT have surprisingly done well against quite a few tier 1 teams, specifically on the map of Kalahari and also in Bermuda, where they took down K9, and with only 2 elimination points in that game. Some can say that K9 was not in the flow, or maybe it might just be the first game jitters which would have got them, but then it still had to be done. NXT have found themselves in a position where they have the higher ground, with one player being knocked out. Of course, that is Cropsy. He gets eliminated, but of course Anubhav was there and he revived the rest of his teammates.
This calls for a revenge. And I'm 100% sure GDR will look forward to eliminate NXT. Because at one given point of time, GDR were kind of overconfident and NXT took advantage of it. But for now, look at the amount of eliminations. We have already crossed 5 minutes and there's been barely anybody crossing the double digit. Whereas until now, in every single map, we have seen a different outcome altogether. HIND, they've also got into a kerfuffle against the team, and it seems like, things are not going their way. ZUTSU as well. They've got 5 eliminations so far. They see another prey right in front of them behind the glue wall, and they're trying to jump over this and take him down. BotGod gets inside, but doesn't connect the shot. He gets taken down. Luckily, he's got his teammate right next to him, or else the story would have been so different. Harsh was able to put down a player, but eventually the retaliation. Oh my goodness, what's happening out here?
Oh, this is Sid with the Charge Buster. He wants the correct timing. Ooh, he finds the corner of the window, gets the knock, and obviously finish him as well with the Woodpecker. Nunon there. He runs away and definitely would run away because his team needs the revival. R2vs Snake is the last man surviving, and BotGod knows his positioning. His time turner is already used. A Plushie being thrown by someone from the sidelines. I think it was Harsh. Some damage inflicted, glue walls placed, and it's going to be very difficult for Snake to survive here. He's just buying time for himself, which is not going to help. Few utilities being deployed, of course. Now comes Harsh, and he connects the shot and will definitely take him down. And that's why I think Nunon escaped from that position. Wait, Nunon hasn't escaped. He's still there. What's he doing? Yeah. The vending machine is far away from that position.
But he knows, right? He knows that enemies are close by. If he tries to get to the vending machine, which is the closest, there's a possibility that he's going to be losing himself. He can still play for position points, but what's happening at the boxing ring is a different tale altogether. K9 versus SE. Silver Eagles are trying to scoop down against the Wolves, and can they put them down? Nizam tries to get in closer, but the explosion puts him down. Zayan, Dafiq and Honey are for a hunt here. Sanathani is trying to do his best, but what he's going to do is kneel in front of them, and he's going to eventually get eliminated. K9, again, they're showing their true prowess, and now they're pouncing upon RNX.
Wait, RNX was there in the vicinity? Oh, Sunny. Right now, he wants to. He connects one. Oh, what? How did he manage to connect onto that? He connects onto the second one as well. Wow. I think he might have just got a slight inch, and he connected through that pixel and definitely got that conversion. But the fight hasn't stopped. NG Silver Eagle players were still surviving, where Dafiq managed to find the last player. And 11 eliminations for Team K9, and Dafiq once again becomes the elimination leader.
The K9s are on a hunt, ladies and gentlemen. Look at them. They're not ready to stop anytime soon. Whereas on the other side, NXT gets punished, trying to take that launcher right in front of Team HIND. KD God has been one of my favorite players until now. And I'm kind of, looking forward for him to actually showcase his true powers. We did see above the sub, he did some phenomenal job. But after that, I've not seen him shine out so much.
And he also has responsibility, Arka. of controlling his team.
Ooh, look at that shot.
Ooh, Shoto. Ooh, but then from the backlines, he did not expect a positioned player towards that higher building position from where he got punished. But the good thing is the recovery was immediately there. But
Oh
the
no,
Feek and
oh
K9
no.
somewhere
Look at
else
that.
have eliminated Godsend Pros. We'll talk about that later. But this is Sahil Jad using those utilities, those grenades to flush out the player who has the top position.
Oh my goodness, a shocker after shocker, but Team Hind at this point of time, they're losing players. They need to be careful. Shail is trying to do his best to wait from this fight. He knows the importance of trying to survive. He knows that Danish is right above him. So if he tries to get away from this position, the bird's eye view is going to reveal his location. He gets to an angle from where he can shoot. The woodpecker is just waiting to be strike. Yes, Danish gets a lot of shots. Eventually gets down on his belly, but the pixels connect. And the confirmation is just going to follow. Sahil Jat. The patience has paid off for this man.
Yeah. And the way he converted that elimination point, Arka. First, he threw the plushie. You know, that obviously inflicts you that damage, constant damage, of course. And then immediately with those beautiful woodpecker shots, now he has Anmol. He has spotted him. Like, literally pulled him out to 50 HP. He has dropped down. He's barely surviving. He's running like chicken heads on his head for the time being. But then he gets taken out pretty easily. But wait, that was NXT Sabo who takes him out. So another team in the vicinity who are here for third partying, but Team Hind does not like it. We want to eliminate them as well with Sahil Jad. He did not expect the player from the backline. Once again, he gets punished.
Oh my goodness, look at what Wolvin is doing. He knows exactly what is to be done. He stays very, very close to that vending machine. And he makes sure that he's got cover for his team as well. RNX, they come in from one angle. We see that, you know, NXT are also trying to have a piece of this pie. All these teams, they need to realize the circle is going to give them a lot of damage. They need to make it inside the circle. And there are teams like K9 waiting to hunt others down. And for those who are watching this game now, look at the right side of your map. They've got 17 eliminations so far, and they're looking forward for some more.
This just might be the map which Team Hind wanted. They just have to be patient right now. Arka KD God needs to understand the condition and also, you know, need to calm their players down. You know, they have always overdone things in the previous 4 maps where they have been punished. They've got eliminations, but they have not been able to survive. But this time K9 is moving towards Silver Eagle. Aim ready with the freeze grenade. Throws it. Finds some amount of damage. The Feek still waiting. He has already got 6 elimination points, so the confidence is not going to be the issue. Again, the utility game. Arka coming in handy for Team K9. And they find one more. And here comes the rush with the dash. But then Aim gets taken out and Honey finds one more. The support is coming in. But look at IronX finds the timing. And they're here for the third party.
Oh, I don't think so. It's got to be easy for K9 after this 18 eliminations and they're still breathing fire. They need to hold on to their horses, but Dafik on the other side lands one, jumps and makes sure he connects every single shot. As Honey is down on his knees, Dafik knows he needs to survive. He's just healing himself, making sure he wants to pull off a 1v3, but I don't think so. It's going to be easy for him because RNX, they come in strong and they make sure they put an end for K9.
You see how RNX have always reacted to these third-party situations. They have always somehow managed to be there. You know, whenever 2 teams are fighting, they're always in the third-party scenarios and converting those eliminations. And that's how they have, you know, shown that they can do it without even taking risks. And as I mentioned, that they might be the team who just might get to that 100 point.
Yeah, but K9, they've got 20 eliminations, my friend. Even they've been doing a really good job so far. But RNX, look at this. They're looting. They're taking time. They know what's happening inside. METANINZA, the kind of, you know, suffering at this point of time. Whereas on the other side, Arman, still waiting it out. Now he's cooking a grenade, a beautiful one. Does it land and does do damage? Nope, not that much. His teammate, on the other hand, gets taken down. A lot of pressure this time around. Arman gets shot from a distance. It's got to be RNX trying to do the dirty deeds, but RN2 on the other side, they come in and they reap benefits out of all the hard work done by METANINZA.
A taste of their own medicine is what I can say, Arka. You know, RNX have always done those third party or maybe those cheap pushes which have punished a lot of teams in the lobby. but it was R2VX SINGH Gaming's team who punished them. Now the situations are going to be intense because the last 6 teams are surviving, but REAGANVERSE, they have survived for such a while with 5 elimination points. They are in the radar of METANINZA. The Riptide Rhythm being used, of course, will be difficult for Headshot to place out those glue walls. Shots being connected. Few splash damages for Newnon. Newnon gets taken out with those woodpecker shots. The leg was visible for him. Zarvis and Zap survives.
Penta takedown, and they're not gonna stop anytime soon. They've got the hard cover. They know the importance of this hard cover. As thunder strikes from the sky, every single team out there in the open is gonna start suffering. Snake, the last slithering snake of this lobby, right in between, is trying to be, as sneaky as possible. RVM2 as well. You got good eyes, my friend. Even he is trying to hold on to those open grounds. Whereas HIND and METANINZA, the main priority for Snake at this point of time is to make sure that the rest of the teams fight with one another and he survives for the longest time possible.
The problem for these solo survivors is they have revealed their position, Arka. Need to use that Riptide Rhythm, and if definitely, for R2VS Snake, have already used that glue wall. Now his position is revealed. MJxOWNLEGACY, all this while they have been hiding and they have 9 elimination points. When did this happen, Arka? But they still have to do the job. They need to convert this booyah. They need this game badly, Arka. They only have 11 points. How will they convert this? They have to tackle 2 teams from the corners. First, it is of course Team HIND who are going to put them to pressure.
Oh, Team HIND, they're playing around, they're moving around quick, making sure they put confusion in the opponent's mind. 17 eliminations so far and 3 shy from that of K9. They've been doing everything good in this game. Own legacy as well. They're trying to write their own legacy in this game so that they survive for the longest time possible. But Danish, he's coming way too out in the open. The last man standing is the last ray of hope, and I don't think so RV or HIND is going to let them breathe. Even before I could complete my sentence, even they get eliminated at the 3rd position, and it comes down to a 4v4 situation, ladies and gentlemen. Team HIND versus RV.
Hardshot and Addy, they have moved ahead, controlling a lot of space, but then the Melters this time will definitely help them. Headshot getting taken out. Sahil Chart's position pays off, but gets that immediate revival. Dash comes in from Shoto. Addy might find himself in a difficult spot. Headshot, he needs to find the trade. The plushie being connected. Shoto gets taken out. Sahil Chart gets taken out as well. Katie God and will win now. The last 2 survivors from HIND God. Will REAGANVERSE get the unthinkable done? Wolvin and Headshot will have to do it, but Wolvin finds one more. Gets the second one. Possibility of a 1v4. No, Katie God. He gets the revive done. The best possible situation in this scenario. Addy and Zeppi survive. But look at Wolvin, he has not given up, and Ariel pulls out the unthinkable for REAGANVERSE. We said, Anarka, your prediction comes up to be true. You wanted a tap in the shoulder, they have pushed you through a booyah.
Oh, I'm so happy for this team. The undergods are starting to roar. Yesterday, we did see a similar scenario unfold where an undergod team in the final game pulled off a booyah and qualified, pushing out Assassin Army. And it seems like Team HIND, they need to wake up. Team METANINZA, even they need to wake up, because these teams out there, they're showcasing some really good talent.
One more thing. We have to mention that Team HIND, REAGANVERSE, MJxOWNLEGACY, all these teams in the top 3, just makes the overall standings, or maybe the today's standings, much more interesting, Arka. Now the cutoff will definitely increase, and we might have drama, what we were wanting from the word go in Group C.
Absolutely. Now, somewhere I'm trying not to bias myself towards the undergods and try to see the actual reality in this lobby, because those teams, those T1 teams, they are being consistent. They've been making sure they don't lose their composure. They're picking up frags or position points, which is so much more important for all the undergods teams to do as well. So the overall standing might look a little bit different. I feel the teams on the top are going to retain their positions, making sure that the middle fray are going to fight it out for the bottoms.
Exactly, and I think you have mentioned it perfectly. The top teams are not going to have any kind of problems, but then while we speak, we need to look at what happened in the last few moments of those fight mode. And so specifically with REAGANVERSE and Team HIND fighting a 4v4 battle, that fight was set up so well by REAGANVERSE's players, and Sahil Jati got the correct opening, but I don't know how they missed out on the opportunity to convert this. Booyah.
But Wolvin, what a valiant effort coming in from his side. He goes into revive with KD God, and just in case KD God had got enough HP, I think the story would have been different. But RV on the other side, they held on to their horses. They knew what is to be done. And I think Addy, the way at the very moment where he knew that he needs to stay a little bit calm to land that final shot, does land it perfectly, and eventually walks away with a beautiful booyah. Look at that, 23 points is what they've got. Team HIND on the other side have got 29, and K9, all thanks to their powers, they've got 23, amongst which 20 elimination points.
I'm pretty surprised with what MJxOWNLEGACY have pulled through in this game. We did not know that they have entered towards the last few moments of the circle, where I think they pulled out a very good move, but they could have managed that booyah. But I think they made sure they got 17 points. At least they have started now, Arka. They have given them the chance to ensure that they might qualify towards the next week. But for that to happen, they have to perform in the last game as well. The calculations will be on. But what has happened to God's Reign Pros and what has happened to NG Silver Eagle? These two teams have been struggling in the past few games, which is not at all expected at this level, specifically when you only have 6 games and qualifications are at stakes. Not for obviously God's Reign Pros, they still will manage to qualify, but at least for NG Silver Eagle.
Yeah, NG Silver Eagle, they were in the top 5 after the 3rd game, and the other 2 games have not gone so well. Before we break down more about their position in the overall standing, let's look at the MVP of this game. It's going to be, I never expected the slithering snake to survive until the end. At one point of time, you did point out that Immorta was kind of sleeping somewhere in the open. Yeah, and he was looking at the opponents and he was like, you know what, I'm going to give you that information using that high ground. Even though it was a small one, that ridge, it did pay off a lot for this team.
Yeah, it was into definitely converting, even though he has only 4 eliminations, but look at his damage. It shows that the impact he created. Definitely with that sniper, he was very lethal. But we will move ahead towards the Booyah team stats as well, where other members from REAGANVERSE, how much did they contribute, and definitely the way they contributed as well, specifically talking about how Addy, Headshot, and Zappy made presence, specifically with the nading ability, the Homer. It has been very interesting how teams and how players have used his ability, the sensing shockwave, specifically the drone you get, tracks the enemy nearby and definitely slows them down, inflicts some amount of damage. And again, the Nikita ability comes in with the reload speed, so just helps Zappy to inflict more damage and create value for his team. And I will point this out, this time on his loadout, we see enhanced hammer, so definitely whatever weaponry he has carried would have upgraded immediately.
Absolutely. Now, I was more impressed with Addy and his combination as well. Look at that. He's got 4 elimination, 2 assists, and 3 knockouts. Whereas, the MVP himself, we've spoken already about him, 7 knockouts in comparison to the rest of his team shows that, he was in the forefront of giving that damage. He was in the forefront of receiving damage as well, because we all know that this man carried a lot of weight for his team.
True, Arka. I mean, all in all, it was a pretty complete performance from REAGANVERSE, but then the job is half done. I'm still not sure that will they qualify or not, because it's still at the very bottom end. All the 4 teams alive were the bottom teams, like Team HIND, it was Team REAGANVERSE, MJxOWNLEGACY, and of course R2VX SINGH GAMING as well. They also managed to survive. So just shows that how important these games are, these last few games are for all the teams in the lobby for Group C.
Now, until now, we have seen that the 3rd circle has not got that much of eliminations. Is there any kind of difference? Let's look at the circle analysis to understand this. From the beginning, we saw a lot of action take place. This was the only map where I saw all the teams move around at every corner of the map. right?
Yep.
At one point of time when we looked at the top location, we saw that Deca Square is going to be empty, but that was not the case. Look at this, the third circle, we don't see, oh yes, we do see a bit of an action. And ultimately, I believe that is where few of the T1 teams, especially K9 was out, I think Silver Eagles were out, and then moving forward, the fourth circle as well, it has taken RV, and then going forward, we see that there were several teams, 4 to 5 teams alive, but still, I'm looking forward for the overall standing, because all of these analysis might look zero, because the kind of drama that brings in is going to be much more spicier.
Even I was surprised about the fact that how RNX Esports was, should I call it targeted? Because, K9 Esports, one member from K9 and one member from Team HIND, Sahil it was, who did wantingly come and take fight with, of course, Team RNX, but they did not obviously flinch with that movement. They completely eliminated both of them and went ahead. But let's look at the preferred drop spot in the last game of Solara, and look at TV Tower. It's overcrowded. I'm sure about the fact that that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I hope so, because Studio, Bloomtown, Archway, all of these places, they've got ample amount of loot, and this is one of those maps which is going to pester you to give you 100%, because there's a lot of terrain you need to understand in this lobby. There's a lot of hard compounds you need to know to have angles against the opponents who run out in the open. So I'm looking forward for this. But let's not forget the TV Tower. It's always been the favorite for the snipers to hold on to the top spot. And ultimately, if you ask me, I would love to have the final circle on the TV Tower.
But REAGANVERSE and Team HIND towards Windmill, where they're already fighting against each other for the 9th or might be the 8th spot. Let's see how that turns out, Arka, because I mean, either of the teams or maybe both the teams might just qualify, but for that to happen, we have to still wait for the last map of Solara to unfold.
Absolutely. Now, REAGANVERSE, right? I don't think so. Apart from the previous game, they had enough points on the table. So probably if you add in those 20 or 25 points, probably they'll be very close to 30. So they'll have to pull off another booyah if they'll have to look for a qualification. But let's not forget that, Own Legacy is also one of those teams who have been suffering. So I somewhere feel that, these are the teams at the very bottom, but at the very top, the story could have been different. But looking at our predictions, I'm kind of shocked to see that, you're going with Silver Eagles after the kind of performance they've given so far. You think that they might make a comeback?
I mean, I have to, with the kind of high they have seen in the second map. Then they have vanished since then. I'm pretty surprised. And also did God's Reign Pros. I am pretty surprised that such a team, before this group started, Arka, Group A and Group B, both the invited teams, IQ Total Gaming and IQ, of course not IQ, it's SHL Elite, both these teams dominated the lobby. This time, a team called God's Reign Pros, we expected that this group will be a difficult group than Group A and Group B, but they could not take the lead, of course, and of course they have not been so comfortable as well. It's pretty surprising. Maybe is it because Manu is not playing? I am still not sure about the fact why that had happened, because maybe we were discussing about this, that four rushers can just put out more challenge to the other teams. The competition might be out, you never know, but that has not been the case for them so long.
Yeah, because there's no defense, right? There's nobody who thinks defensively, who understands the intensity of the situation, falls back. Every assaulter will have one thing in mind: go ahead, pick up frags. The escape route is not in their mind that much, and I do believe that's kind of affecting this team. Nevertheless, I believe the final map of the day is going to make things so much more interesting. For those who are watching over here right now, make sure you share it among your friends, because by the end of this, you're going to witness a lot of drama take place. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to step into the final map of the day, as things are going to shine brighter. It's going to be Solara in front of our screens, and the flight path is also looking beautiful.
Yep, saw a lot of teams jump down towards the very starting, Arka. Where are they going? Windmill. Okay, REAGANVERSE and team... Oh, it's not REAGANVERSE, it's RNX taking up Team HIND. This is going to be interesting. But again, it is only Adib who has dropped down. The other members are not to be seen near the team, and there are some more places like Riders Club where MJxOWNLEGACY are going to fight with REAGANVERSE. So REAGANVERSE are not going to get comfortable with their positioning. Wait, Choco with that mini Uzi finds one opening and completely eliminates Wilvin there.
Yeah, Wilvin and his teammate, both of them just headed back to the lobby. And obviously, they're going to be revived very, very quickly. But RNX, I think with this, they would have crossed the 100-pointer. But will they stop, or will they look forward to make sure that they leave a mark in this tournament? So far, we have seen that there's just 2 teams who have crossed the 100 marker, or 3 teams who have crossed the 100 marker. But Asan, oh my goodness, I don't know what was Jat doing out there. Did he realize that somebody was getting in closer?
I have found out a pattern, Arka. Last map, a similar kind of situation happened where RNX were challenged by one member of Team and one member of Team N. But we'll talk about that. This is REAGANVERSE taking a fight against MJxOWNLEGACY, and they have managed to take both the members down. And headshot with 3. So it's not 2. They have converted 4 elimination points, which just gonna help their positioning. Because I feel they just might have got enough to be inside that safe spot, but we will still have to wait for the game to end. God's Reign pros, they're fighting it out. Struggle is brought back in that game. It's R2V, SINGH GAMING, Antariksh getting eliminated. Snake, he was one of the members surviving in the last map, but he gets taken out this time, and also did Antariksh. He will be taken care of. 3 elimination points for God's Reign.
They're going to be happy about it. Struggle. He gets taken down and gets eliminated as well. What's happening? I guess this is where METANINZA step in. I guess this is where they come in to say that, you know what, third party is something even we would also want to master. As they come in closer, RNX at a distance is having a fight with HIND yet again. They're going to be rewarded with another elimination. 4 in total for this team. But METANINZA, what are they pulling off at a distance? And look at this RNX, they're not stopping themselves. They see ZUTSU in the distance and they start to fire against them as Hush, running out in the open, obviously gets taken down. Thunder strikes harder and then eventually he gets eliminated.
Oh. Hassan, he already is on the move. So definitely they want to take this fight, and look at him closing in. Yes.
Oh no!
The extreme encounter stage, he hasn't activated it yet. Ooh. Oh my goodness. The player escaped, but then look at Bot God's position. Oh, he is also spotted right now. The heal drone being committed, of course. It's not Bot God, it's Soul from ZUTSU Gaming's position, but RNX Esports have arrived here. This can be a full-blown fight, but look at HIND Esports as well. KD God is in the vicinity. He just might find value.
Oh my god, I'm shocked. K9 eliminated with no points whatsoever. What were they thinking? They had more than 60 eliminations and I was expecting them to, you know, at least get 20 out of this game. Something has gone wrong with this team. Probably they were in a hurry because they know that they might have qualified. That's a different story. But nevertheless, I missed all that action, you know, they were able to bring forward. RNX for now, clever ones getting to the hard cover immediately. Make sure that they don't lose unnecessary HP. Whereas at a distance, they can see HIND suffer. And eventually, when the time is right, I'm sure they're going to pounce upon them.
Yep. And ZUTSU Gaming has done that pretty well. But look at the XM8 shot being connected. But Armand, while healing, he gets taken out. And that was Bot God with the Woodpecker shots. RNX Esports, they need to be pretty careful. Even though they have a solid positioning. Why do you want to give away the momentum?
Oh no!
They connects the AC80 shots pretty well. And Harsh will be eliminated. Soul comes in close, but it's going to be difficult. It's going to be 1 against 2, and he will be taking out the UMP in action. He is not giving an HP. Adib still survives. How is he surviving? There's a backup coming in from a player, and that is why he's able to survive, but Adib gets taken out. This is a bit of a shocker. Now Soul has the advantage, uses the ability to break the glue wall, but then we are in a very different perspective where Shoko is right now. I think those were the only 2 members who were fighting.
Oh my goodness, the gravity blessing, the weight helped him out to survive for that bit longer, tad bit longer, but what a shot walking in, making sure that your gun is inside the time turner and that's all you require to land a shot. And gets one perfectly. MJ, they want to survive. They want to make sure that they get that booyah. And that's the only way for them to, you know, kind of qualify into the top 9. But God gets taken down, immediately gets confirmed. And that means his revival is also bound to happen.
Oh, Sid! Barv is connecting some amazing shots right now in the lobby, Arka. And I think ZUTSU Gaming just might be in a spot of bother, but Soul, he still gets two. Might get the third one as well. Oh, this might be the last member for MJxOWNLEGACY. Soul, he is revolving around these glue walls. What is Parv thinking? He has found a spot, but he is still inside there where the vending machine was. And he utilized that opportunity to revive his teammates. And that was a smart move.
A clever gameplay coming in from both the teams. Even Soul as well. When he knew that the opponents are trying to buy some time, he goes around, gets closer to that vending machine, and then revives one of his teammates as well. He understands the intensity, but what's happening here? Sid heads right to that Arsenal place, sees that Danish is inside, and then eventually comes in from two different directions, puts an end to him, and now they're going to be so happy with the loot they get.
MJxOWNLEGACY, they are currently battling out to survive and just qualify, but they are not able to survive right now. They're falling in different places of this map of Solara. But ZUTSU Harsh, and they are being looking upon Team NXT. They have also been quite silent for a while. They have not, been able to be pretty fiery inside the lobby. They have shown a few instances, but this is Heimu. We have seen his talent with the sniper, and here is that OB52 new character, Arka. Stealth, bites that can be used by the Morse, of course. So let's see how he uses it with the sniper, sniper in his hand.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward for it because so far he's not got that many eliminations. He's just got one, and suddenly it becomes a close range brawl as ZUTSU trying to do their best. The time turners and the glue walls is going to buy him some time, and eventually one player gets down, starts to retaliate. Ash not connect much shots, but Heimu gets taken down even before he could use that ability. Ash on the other side, he kind of gets in closer, does the damage against ZUTSU, and then Heimu gets revived. There was a lot of chaos in between all these things, and I do believe that NXT is going to be happy because they just had one elimination before that fight. They were able to rake up more than 3.
Correct. And that will give them the confidence. Oh, Sahil Jat, he needs to find himself in a better position because NXT, after winning that fight, landed in this spot, but they thought nobody's here. Let's go towards the circle. I'm pretty surprised about the fact that so many teams are wantingly fighting outside the circle, specifically in the first and the second circle. I mean, you can do that. And there's one more, METANINZA and RNX. Oh, with one shot, perfectly landing on the head. Arman gets taken out. RNX Esports as well. Still, I mean, whenever we have seen their POV, they've either been taken out, but still they have managed to get 10 elimination points, Arka.
Yeah, happy for them for now. But RNX, I think they want to end it on a very good note. And that's why they're trying to do their best. They want to be known as the table toppers for this group. For now, Ansh is trying to do his best, no matter how many shots he's trying to take. Yes, a few of them did connect, due to which he's going to be paid off with some eliminations. 11 in total for METANINZA. And even this team, all of a sudden, seems to be more composed than they were ever in today's games.
Yeah. METANINZA with 11 elimination points right now. They're also pretty much comfortable with their positioning. I think qualification is not the problem right now for them. I think the way they have played out in this lobby, they should be happy, Arka. I think not every team gets the flourishing or the fiery start. Sometimes just getting the start or just, meeting the objective is also can be the key, because you just might end up showing your cards in the first round where you might be dealt with in the next few rounds, because that's where the main game is going to start.
Absolutely. Again, the calm before the storm. Is this the third circle? Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
And we have been witnessing this, right? The third circle phase where everybody goes silent. Everybody tries to find their spot inside the circle. And then comes the big war. But for now, ZUTSU, Harsh, he's coming down towards that Arsenal, and eventually he's going to be put down. Flying out in the open, It's just duck hunt, my friend.
Anubhav also finds bot card, so ZUTSU Gaming in a spot of bother for the time being. Where is that happening? I think there was a hit list triggered, which is being taken care of for the time being. Heal drone was triggered for MJxOWNLEGACY. They are in a fight with Team Silver Eagles. So how will they react to this now? They have the first floor, but they don't have much space to play with, Arka.
Yeah.
They have been flooded with freeze grenades. Anmol, he tries to climb up, but why would you want to do that? When you know that all the 4 members are sitting on top, they just wanted that to happen. The numbers disadvantage is there now, and they have to run away. See, MJxOWNLEGACY, they are fighting for the survival. Silver Eagles, they are still having a position where they might qualify. But MJxOWNLEGACY, they need to win. They need to win with a good amount of elimination points. Then only they will have a possibility of qualifying.
Yeah, but Silver Eagles as well. Look at them. They're not scooping down. They're just waiting. They don't want to do any kind of, unnecessary move. They don't want to take any unnecessary fight. They believe that they've got the center of the circle. All they have to do is strike fear in the opponent's heart, keep them at bay, wait for the circle to, eventually give them a little bit of a space to work around with. And then probably that is when they'll scoop down to get that booyah for themselves. God's Reign gets eliminated. ZUTSU gets eliminated. All the teams who we expected to finish on the top of the table are out of this lobby.
They're still holding their position. Parv, he again comes in with I'm so goated. But still, not very clear about their strategy that how will they take them down, because still they have that number disadvantage. I think they should have holded their position. And NG Silver Eagles, they're again playing this pretty patiently. RNX Esports, meanwhile, getting eliminated in the 8th position.
I think this could be a big game for METANINZA then.
Yep.
Because they've got 18 eliminations so far. There's no big names left out in the lobby. And they could set an example. All they have to do is just try to find the right footing in this lobby. They've just got a tower to work out with, but after 7 seconds, once the circle starts to shrink in, they might get into a bit of a trouble. If they can survive this, I do believe that METANINZA can walk away with a very, very big booyah.
Definitely Jordex. He has that woodpecker in his hands. He is also waiting patiently. They have that positioning. They do not have to move an inch for the time being. They have to, hold off this positioning pretty well. Specifically a team like METANINZA. They will be one of the challenges, or maybe the challengers later end. But they're holding off this compound pretty well. They have some good set of active skills, right, Arka, with Steffi, Gravity Blessings, and also with A124 Thrill of Battle. They will, of course, hold off a lot of utilities and might disable also a lot of character skills from other teams. So definitely, some moments to watch out for. But then METANINZA, 18 eliminations already. Will they get the booyah? Is the question right now.
Oh my god, the snake gets chopped off. A beautiful shot coming in from the side of Ginotra. He continues his assault and gets 2 of them as well. It's headshot from a distance who stole away a finish. But METANINZA, they're going to be happy because they don't have anybody to backstab them anymore. They can just concentrate on the teams in front of them. And guess what? Team HIND slowly trying to converge from the northern side. And METANINZA, they turn their attention towards the big hounds. They need to be careful. RV push towards MJ. Silver Eagles are still waiting. NXT, even they're waiting for the high end to get hot. This could be a different tale altogether. And look at what Harvey headshot does. He gets in closer to that vehicle. Waits it out. Imto gets taken down. The revival is going to be very easy, but they'll have to get inside the circle. Silver Eagles, MJ. Now these are the 2 teams who are going to be facing off.
Yeah. The Flame Mirage being used by Headshot over there. But there are so many teams in and around this compound. And look at HIND Esports as well, HIND Gaming as well. They're sitting on top of METANINZA's head. So METANINZA not in a comfortable spot, Arka. They will get shots from all around the corners. They might be in a sandwich situation. But MJxOWNLEGACY, they're also surrounded. In the top, it is Silver Eagle, and below it is REAGANVERSE. Imto and Headshot, the only 2 survivors. They have to survive for their battle of survival for the top position, in the top 9 position, which is going to be very crucial. Oh, gets knocked down. Sanatani, he eliminates, and NXT getting eliminated right here. Silver Eagle survives. Headshot. How will he survive at this very moment? He fights with Sanatani, takes him out, but then the circle. Now the responsibility is up to him too. Him too survives, and with that, REAGANVERSE survives as well. But now comes MJxOWNLEGACY. Will be the moment, but then HIND, KD God, he connects the shot and the fight and switches attention towards METANINZA.
Look at the probability over there, Oro. We've got METANINZA. Even though they've got the lower grounds, they've got the higher probability. Ginothra and Shot. It's been a mirrored elimination. And Jarvis, he's trying to come in closer. He knows that Anshu needs that backup, but eventually he also gets taken down. Wolvin is down, and it's got to be Jart who's trying to do his best. KD God comes in from a different angle altogether. They corner METANINZA in one side of this circle, making sure they have that advantage. HIND pouncing upon METANINZA, make sure that they retaliate well and get that final booyah of the day, which they were craving for. METANINZA, the probability was there, but it's just that they were too spread out for that final fight, and Team HIND pulled off an amazing booyah out here.
Wow, I mean, at the very last game, Team HIND have swung well. I mean, they haven't got that booyah in the rest of the 5 matches. And here comes the last game, and they deliver. So I said that they were not comfortable with the kind of survival game they have been showing. And now comes the last game where they survived and they got the most satisfying victory. And I think they are ready for week number 2 as well.
Absolutely, but today is the first day in this tournament. I've seen that not one team is able to get more than one booyah. That means 5 different teams or 6 different teams have got booyah. So that means that this group was surely the group of death.
Yeah, and the competition was so healthy, right, and cutthroat that, I mean, the cutoff will also increase, Arka. We just might see the points going towards that 60+ mark, which we actually saw in Group A as well. Yesterday, it was much of a choke point being created by Team SINGH Elite, but it's, of course, Team HIND Esports who got the booyah in the final game of Group C. Let's look at the final moment of this game, where Zap, with his sniper, definitely had the positioning, and HIND Gaming was looking completely in control. They never lost control of this fight.
Yeah, but Team HIND, at one point of time, I really thought that METANINZA had that deal cracked. KDR and the rest of his teammates come in from a different angle, but it's just that glue walls. There were so many glue walls that the backlines was completely cleared. But METANINZA, they've got 30 points in this game. Is it enough for them to end on the top of the table as Team HIND? I've got 26. I mean, REAGANVERSE, the final 2 games they have played, they've shown a phenomenal performance. And with that, I do believe that they might end up in the top 9.
Yeah, they have shown retaliation under pressure, Arka, and that shows character. And you need such kind of characters or teams, who can deliver, specifically coming out in a cycle from FFC mode where you would want to show, showcase your talent, which you weren't possible to in the first 4 or the first 3 games. And I think that towards the end they managed to. But let's have a look at the most valuable player. Is it from Team HIND or is it from METANINZA? Is going to be the question, and it is from Team HIND. It is Shoto, with 8 elimination points, Arka. Look at the damage, 4,402.
The Oscar with that M950 singing the songs of death. Nikita was always there. J Beeps as well. Joseph, the team booster. Even though it might look like a bit of a different passive characters, things have fallen in place for this man, and that's why he's got that 4,000 damage.
Or probably you can frame it in a way, Arka, where Shoto was, left out freely, where I think an Oscar ability would give him that dash, and he can heal himself up. And the reload speed from Nikita, and of course J-Beams helps you to get your EP full. So definitely there's those moments which of course Shoto used to his advantage. But other than him, there were 3 more members: Sahil Chad, KD God, and Wolvin. And I think look at the way Sahil Chad impacted. I mean, whenever we look at Sahil Chad, he's always there. He's somewhere finding either an elimination or getting knocked out, because he was always finding players in and around him, and he was always managing to create value for his team as well. And he had that Nero ability, the plushie can of course give you that information, and also disabling the glue wall movements, and also inflicts damage constantly with that Alvaro and Beast in there, so the nades also inflicts more damage.
I think Sahil Jat was the first line of defense for this team.
Yeah,
That's what he
correct.
was trying to do. Be the punching bag, take the first shot, give information. KD God, even though he was the sniper, he did not have that much of a space to showcase his talent, due to which just 800 damage with 2 eliminations, where I was expecting a bit more from him. But I can understand, right? This map did not give him space to do that. Wolvin on the other side, yes, he was one of those strong pillars for Shoto. He's got 1 damage. He was trying to move around, make sure that he grabs the attention of the opponent, so that Shoto and Sahil Jat can actually land shots, which kind of helped this team as a whole to work as a well-oiled unit.
Yeah, and let's look at the circle analysis right now. Let's see how things panned out in the last map. Of course, HIND Esports being the Booyah winner, where they positioned themselves pretty well. I mean, they again saw a position or a moment where Sahil Jat was, again, as you mentioned, was the first point of contact, or maybe the first line of defense. He was there in all those positions. They went towards RNX, wantingly taking a fight there. Did not work out, but they somehow managed that arcway position, and they played in and around that. The edge position was always controlled by them, and look at them, they cleared out the down south position. The last fight was against, of course, METANINZA, and when the chaos was happening towards that compound, they were sitting calmly, and on the top of that, they had METANINZA also to deal with, and they did not fight or engage against them while the fight in the compound was there. Once the teams were cleared in the compound area, then only they wanted to take a fight with METANINZA, because they knew otherwise few shots would have been taken by MJxOWNLEGACY players, or maybe Silver Eagle players, because they were there.
Yeah, and that high ground advantage which we speak about, they knew that eventually players are going to jump out of the windows, and that's why
Correct.
they try to pick up some eliminations as well. Kind of successful with that. But again, the divided attention, right? 2 players were keenly watching METANINZA from one side, whereas the other 2 were busy picking up frags, and that's one of the reasons why HIND was kind of trying to play it a little more defensive. Nonetheless, we're able to see that the third circle this time was not so disappointing, whereas the 4th circle had everybody hold on to their horses, whereas the 5th circle also had some minimum eliminations. But at the end, the 6th circle was more of I would say the drama ending streak.
Yeah, but there you go. And I think we have been waiting for this for a while now. It is the Group C overall standings, and we will witness who have qualified and who has not qualified from this position. And it is RNX Esports with 115 points, Arka. They land up on the first position with 1 single booyah, and look at the number of eliminations they have converted, with 78 there, and the placement points counting out to be 37. Then comes ZUTSU Gaming with 104. 3 teams from Group C, as we consider them to be the group of death, have managed to get 100 points. Just shows what this group was kept in store.
Absolutely. Now K9 as well. I'm kind of impressed with METANINZA and K9 with not having any kind of booyahs, just relying on the firepower. 66 and 64 eliminations. They were able to reach 90 points, and I really wanted these 2 teams to pick up a booyah, because that confidence boost would have made them create havoc in this lobby. Nonetheless, God's Reign as well, God's Reign pros, even this was one of those teams where most of our casters' prediction for the week was like, probably this is going to be the team which is going to be at the top of the table. Yes, few disappointments, but I believe they're trying to hide their strategies for further deep into this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much things did not go well for R2VX SINGH Gaming, MJxOWNLEGACY, and EC Esports. I mean, EC Esports literally lost the plot in the second half. They seemed, pretty confused. They were the first ones to get eliminated in the previous 2 games. So things were not working for them, and they almost, gave up in the last game as well. But then there's so much to learn for them, right, Arka? This is a big stage. This is the TEZ Free Fire Max India Cup Spring 2026. And here we are. We have ended with Group C. And now imagine, we started off and we kicked things off in this group stage with Group A, where iQOO Total Gaming dominated. We saw how SA12 Elite did it in style with 167 points by getting a 27-pointer average, which is not at all an easy task. And now comes Group C, which we consider to be the group of death, and RNX delivered with 115 points.
I mean, a very clever one. But for the teams in the bottom, I would like to say one thing. You can buy anything in this world, but not the experience. So you guys are walking away with a lot of experience. Make use of it. Learn from your mistakes. And there's always another chance right around the corner. And I'm kind of impressed with one team. That is REAGANVERSE. You know, from almost being at the bottom of the table, then showing some really good composure, trying to replicate what they did in the final 2 games, picking up that pace, understanding the lobby. You know, this is the most important thing for all the newcomers out there. You need to understand the lobby. You need to adapt. If you're able to adapt quickly, then obviously you'll be able to rake up points and make sure you make it into the top 9. I mean, I'm just running out of words after this. Probably the rest of the teams out there, they've proven to us why they are one of the best teams in the country.
You know, before we start talking about tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be the last group for TEZ FFMIC Spring 2026, RNX, you know, have to talk about them for a bit, where, you know, they were one of the teams who made sure they were present towards that Lucknow City qualifiers, could not qualify from there. They weren't invited. They came through FFC mode, and they are the first teams from the FFC mode to ensure they end up in the top spot in a Group C game, where it was considered to be the hardest group, Arka.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget K9 as well. They were one of those teams who had a booyah in the city qualifiers and still failed to qualify. And these are the teams who come here and showcase themselves, setting an example for the undergods, telling that, you know what, if you don't give up, you might make it through as well. But ladies and gentlemen, I think we're almost at the end of this day. But let me remind you, the action is going to continue tomorrow, because it's going to be Group D. Some big names are there. A lot of expectations being carried by all the undergod teams. And I believe, Oro, you know, it's just that icing on the cake, the final day.
Yeah, absolutely. You already mentioned the big names are there. God like Esports, of course. One more team which is of course left out. That is team GG Instinct. We will see the Kolkata City qualifiers was there. But you know, this was it from day number 3. This was Oro. With me was Arka. Till then, you guys can have a safe night and keep smiling. You guys are watching TEZ FFMIC India Cup Spring 2026.
I got it booming. Stats going up, we all going dumb, not stupid. Trying to keep up with me, I told them all that it's foolish. I heard this song and I turn it right down, it's muted. I had to do it myself, damn, now it's all booming. Said it's impossible, I had to go out and do it. It's getting hot, yeah, now it's humid. Feeling like Floyd, I'm 50 and no, can't dispute it. I had to do it myself, damn, now it's all booming. Told them get out of the kitchen, I'm chefing it now. They try to start with me, dog, while I'm ending it now. They used to laugh at me, dog, who is laughing right now? I got M's in the bank, I got M's in these streams, so they texting my phone and they begging me now. I don't got time for it now. Feeling like step when I ball. They try to get to me now. I cannot let them at all. I ain't wearing nothing on the wrist. That's just how I started, I can switch. I just told myself that's how it is. I just pulled a clutch and I can miss. Trying to tell me everything I know. If they get a shot, they bout to choke. I was looking at them from the back. Now I'm looking back and they ain't close. I got it booming. Stats going up, we all going dumb, not stupid. Trying to keep up with me, I told them all that it's foolish. I heard this song and I turn it right down, it's muted. I had to do it myself, damn, now it's all booming. Said it's impossible, I had to go out and do it. It's getting hot, yeah, now it's humid. Feeling like Floyd, I'm 50 and no can't dispute it. I had to do it myself, damn. I got it booming. Stats going up, we all going dumb, not stupid. Trying to keep up with me, I told them all that it's foolish. I heard this song and I turn it right down, it's muted. I had to do it myself, damn, now it's all booming.
You can't manage this, can't break this, boy, I'm funded. Gotta keep my distance when you not 100, From the same ones say they loyal, they funny, You can't match my energy, and yeah, you know it, Way too cold, yeah, man, I'm way too cold, Way too cold, yeah, man, I'm way too cold, Way too cold, yeah, man, I'm way too cold, Yes, I meant it, yeah, man, I'm way too cold,